you choose to attend for our event today. But yes, welcome, welcome. It's always fascinating to see that participant count just start to rapidly climb up there as everybody comes in the door.
It is. It is. Lots of good stuff. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming to our May 5th general meeting. I'm going to go on and share the screen, but we'll wait for everybody to get in.
Sounds good. Hard to believe it's already May 5th. It just seems like it's moving along very quickly.
Look at all the people that are celebrating Cinco de Mayo with us.
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome.
I feel like I should have a party hat or something.
There you go.
Oh, well. All right, we'll give it a minute before we get started. We still have folks trickling in here. Looks like count's still climbing a little bit. Yep. Thank you, thank you. As you guys are coming in the door, we'll go ahead and start by reminding everybody, we'll give everybody a little heads up and a head start here that for tonight's event, as you will see, one of the things we'll be doing is interviewing our business members. And one of the things that we're going to want to have is questions from the audience. So you'll notice that you have a Q&A section in Zoom. If you have a question that you have just been dying to get answered, especially by one of our esteemed business members, please, by all means, make sure you put that into the Q&A. And so you can find that down at the bottom of your Zoom panel there. All right, Buffy, looks like we've got kind of a quorum here. If you want to go ahead and start the recording, and we'll get the show rolling.
All righty, we are recording. Welcome, welcome, everyone. And I'm turning it over to Jay.
Well, thank you, Buffy, and thank you, everyone. So glad to have everyone here for our May 5th general meeting of CFRI. Again, a big thank you to all of our business members and board members and everybody that's joining us for the meeting today. And of course, a huge thank you to all of you out there participating in our event today. Really glad to have everybody here, and hope to get everybody's burning questions answered from all of our wonderful business members and the panel that we'll have tonight. A couple of things that we get out of the way at the beginning of every meeting, as I'm sure most of you are used to. Of course, CFRI is a nonprofit, and our whole purpose here is to make sure that we promote ethical real estate investing, and that we do our best to do this through educational networking opportunities, and of course, with whatever mediums we have available at the time. Obviously, this is a little different, seeing as how we're still under our COVID restrictions at the moment, but maybe soon we can start to go back to some of those things that we used to do. I know we're all looking forward to that. All right, so considering that, Buffy, if you want to go ahead and go on to the next slide there. So as again, most of you are very, very well aware, CFRI is not here to be the be all end all in terms of legal, tax, accounting, all those great pieces of advice you can get. There are people that specialize in those things. Some of them, many of them, who are going to actually be on with us tonight that can provide that type of information. So we as CFRI, especially as the board and the organization, we're not here to give you that advice. We do want everybody to take note of the fact that you need to consult your own attorney, your own legal person, your tax advisor, whoever that is, for all of those specialties, especially when it comes to your real estate investments. Very important that you do that. We each do that. We encourage you to do it as well. And since this is a Zoom meeting, and since for the month of May, we will be continuing some Zoom meetings, we want to make sure that everybody is, again, very familiar with a couple of things that we would recommend and highly appreciate if you do or don't do in terms of Zoom etiquette. Remember that as far as advertising is concerned, you'll notice several of the board, or not board members, the business members tonight, you'll notice that several of them will have, as part of their backgrounds, things that advertise their business. They are perfectly okay to do that because they are CFRI business members, and they're entitled to do that by being a business member. Same thing is true when it comes to property. So for example, if you're going to advertise a property, then that needs to be your property. You have to have that property under control in order to be the one that is advertising it. Again, like I said, business members, the only way they can advertise is because they are business members. And when it comes to promoting anything First of all, you really shouldn't be promoting anything unless you've been asked to promote it, but certainly not anything without permission from Buffy, who is our CFRI Executive Director. Whenever you're going to participate in anything remote like this, always a good idea to test it out first. Make sure you know how the features work, because as you've heard, we're going to encourage everybody to submit questions through Q&A. So it helps to know, where's that Q&A panel? All right, you're going to find that down on the bottom of your Zoom window, and that's how you're going to put those questions in that you want to have answered by our business members. If you are in a regular Zoom meeting, now this one's a webinar format, so it's a little bit different. Only the panelists are going to be the ones who have to worry about, am I muted? Am I not muted? Is my camera on? What am I showing? But when you're in any of our regular meetings, like the county meetings, the regular the regular focus group meetings, make sure that as you're participating in those, even the meeting after the meeting that we're going to do after our event today, make sure that if you're not the one who's actively speaking, that you do keep yourself muted. Helps eliminate any extra background noise. Speaking of which, be mindful of what the background noise is. We've had some very interesting background noises in many of our calls already. So just be very mindful of that. And at the same time, be mindful of any other things that might be distracting in your background. Just be courteous about it. You know, just try not to do things that might not be okay for everybody else that's having to sit there and watch that, whether it's eating, things like that on camera. All right. For anybody that did not know, we are online in several places, and you can find CFRI on Facebook, YouTube, Meetup, Twitter. Definitely, if you're not a part of these groups, is something that you want to sign up for, participate in. You obviously do have to be a CFRI member to be in the members only Facebook page, Facebook group, but we encourage everybody to be in there and participate. You get a lot of good information from those, especially lately with some of the legislative stuff that's been going on and posts that Rob Arnold has been making. Always good to be able to access that information. And we are one of the parts of, we're a chapter of National RIA, or NRIA as it's sometimes referred to. And we've been around for quite a while, 30 plus years at this point. And as a chapter of National RIA, one of the things that we have to offer everybody, if you are a member, is a lot of discounts that come from being in partnership with National RIA. Buffy, if you want to move on to that next slide there. Thank you, ma'am. So here are some examples of some of those national partner discounts. And many of the folks on this call have used these. I can almost guarantee you that most, if not all, of our business members have used these at one time or another. I know I have as well. And some of them, we'll go over a couple in particular here in a moment, but just take a look on the screen at some of the ones that are there and check them out. If you didn't know it already, CFRI.net is the website, and that's where you can find out more about it. One of those in particular that I think a lot of us do use is the Home Depot program. And it's very beneficial because you can use it to get things like those 2% purchase rebates, discounts on paint. It's a great program. And I know several of us have gotten some nice rebate checks or rebate gift cards, as they sometimes do. And that can be really beneficial. Another good one that we have is the Office Depot Office Max program. And again, it's very easy to use. In fact, there's the instructions right there. You just text CFRI card to that number and you get a discount card that you can use. We have members that have gone in and had a price for printing cut more than 50% just by being able to use that discount card. So it's another great resource. Now, our panel tonight that we'll get to in a bit is going to feature our business members. One of the things that you will have is, of course, again, an opportunity to ask questions of those folks. If you know what your question is, please go ahead and start putting those into the Q&A right now, not the chat, in the Q&A, so that we can go ahead and start queuing those up and try to make sure we get to as many of those as possible. Now, when we introduce all of our business members in just a bit, we'll make sure that you get their contact information. But in case you wanted to know, where are they? How can I find them? How can I find out more information? I missed that. Where can I find it? You can always go to the website. You can go to CFRI.net and you go out there and you can find all of the business members on the website. Thank you, Buffy. So The board met in the middle of April and started trying to figure out what's our plan going to be. And at the time, it looked like the best way to continue in the month of May was to continue May's meetings as Zoom. So everything obviously for May is going to continue to be a Zoom meeting. We are all very aware of changes that have happened in just the last few days. So the board will be meeting again next week, and I don't know what to tell you is going to happen, but we're obviously going to be considering all of that as we look to see what we can do next and try to make sure that we do this safely and securely for everybody. Now, if you want to know what's going on and you're not real sure, of course, the website is a great place to do that. One of the things you can look at is the calendar of events. This is an example of what that looks like. You'll notice there's some different colors on there. This is the calendar of events for May. And you'll notice, of course, that we have not only the county group meetings, but also the focus group meetings. And we even have a class coming up as well that we'll talk about that's going to be taught by our own Todd Hutchison. Now, one of the things that we have done for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 meetings now is try to make sure that everybody could still have some networking, because that's one of the key elements that we're missing that we don't have the ability to do easily right now because we're not all in the same room, all next to each other, passing around those lovely COVID germs, right? Just kidding. So one of the things that we have been doing is for members, you can sign up for, it's a separate link for Zoom, and you can sign up on the CFRI webpage. You go out there and say, hey, I want to be a part of the meeting after the meeting. And what that does is it will get you a separate Zoom link that we will start right after this general meeting ends, about 5 minutes or so afterwards. Give Buffy time to change it up, of course, and get ready. But that one is a meeting format where everybody can be there, everybody can turn their camera on, everybody can use their microphone. And we even go into breakout groups where we put just a few people in a room together so that you can network. And we do that for a few minutes, and we come back in, chat for a minute, and go into some different breakout rooms. And it gives you a chance to do some networking, and it has been really popular. So we are doing it again tonight. If you haven't signed up yet, please by all means do that, and make sure you get that second Zoom link that you'll use at 8:35. I did say that one of the classes we have coming up is going to be offered by our own Todd Hutchison. And that class is going to be on Thursday, May 13th. You can see the details right there. It's a class from 6 to 9 on marketing for motivated seller leads. Something that is very handy to be able to do. Obviously, you want to be able to get those leads, right? Now, if you're thinking to yourself, but he said for members, I'm not a member. That's all right. We have a plan, and we have a great plan where you can try it out. You can actually do a 3-month trial of the general membership. And Buffy, I've been just talking and talking and talking. How about I switch things up a little bit and let you talk for a second and tell them a little bit about the 3-month trial membership.
So the 3-month trial membership is $75. It starts from the day that you sign up, and it's good for 3 months. If you decide during those 3 months that you'd like to upgrade your membership to a 12-month regular general membership, then you can get a rebate back, if you will, for the unused portion of your membership. Plus, I'll give you an additional discount. You'll just need to reach out to me, but you can give us a try for $75. You can go right on our website right now and join CFRI with $75 for 3 months, or you can join as a general member for 12 months for $175, and you can use the coupon code, promo code Spring 2021. Spring 2021 is all one word, and that will get you $25 off of a general membership for 12 months.
Very cool. Very cool stuff. All right, fantastic. Thank you, Buffy. And we're going to talk about the podcast here in just a second, but I want to remind everybody again, as we are going through and getting ready for our business members to talk, you have time now to think, what is that question that I want to have answered, and get it into the Q&A. So make sure you know where that Q&A section is. Put in what your question is. We would love, love, love to get as many of those questions ahead of time as possible so that not only can we be queuing them up, but for those of our business members that are on, they can see that and they can be thinking about what is the answer to that? Is there any additional information that they might want to be able to provide when we go to that particular question? So please go ahead and start putting those questions into the Q&A. Now, one of the things that you may not be aware of is that CFRI has been doing a podcast for quite some time. In fact, if you look at the list of people that we've interviewed for that, it continues to grow and grow. And the stories, especially the backstories of some of these folks, are just absolutely fascinating. If you have not checked out the CFRI podcast, you need to do that. You can find it on all the regular mediums, of course, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it, there it's out there. So just go out there and look for the CFRI podcast. Now, one of the things that I find a lot of fun every time we do this, and our Vice President, Stephen, does such an excellent job with it, is getting to hear about what some of our members have done and what their deal was. What was that deal? Because we try to have at least one, if not two, deals of the month to show you and let you see what our members are doing. Now, if you want to know, hey, how could I be the deal of the month? It's real easy because you just contact Stephen. There's his email address, vicepresident@cfri.net, and he can hook you up with, here's what you need to do. It is not difficult at all. We get a couple of pictures, we find out some basic information, and you get to tell your story, and it's a real cool, fun thing, and we really all get to learn from it. So it's a lot of fun. And with that, Stephen, I guess I'm going to hand it over to you because it's time to hear about the deals of the month.
All right, excellent. I appreciate that, Jay. So real quick, Buffy, for any questions as part of the deal of the month, do you want those to go into the chat? Or
No, I'd like them to go on into the Q&A, and maybe they could put deal of the month, or we should be able to figure it out.
okay.
But we'd like them to put it in the Q&A as well.
All right, very good. All right, well, that stays on par the course as we usually do. So any questions you guys have as we go through, put it in the Q&A, and maybe just put DOTM behind it for deal of the month. So with that, let's get started. I want to welcome Tammy Boyd. Tammy, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. I'm actually at a family reunion, so we're trying to get everybody to quiet down.
Oh, hey, I totally understand.
There's some background noise. That's what it is. I got all my fans here. No, I'm kidding. But,
No, you're gonna have a lot more after we're done, I'm sure. So.
Well, I don't know about that. Okay. Anyway, I've been a CFRI member since 2005. No, 2006 I joined, and so I've been there for quite a bit. And here, this is one of the deals of my most recent deal, and it's a house. There's a kind of a cool backstory to this.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this house was years ago. It was at 2005, and I was 7 months pregnant with my son, and now he's turned 16 next week. Anyway, I went to this neighborhood because they were building the houses, and what they said is you could come in and you can buy the houses, and they said for $225,000 you can buy the house, and I knew that it was worth about $250, $265. So I went there, I stood in line, I waited to write my check, got to the front 2 hours later and wrote the check to buy the house. And then they called me up then the next day and they said, oh, sorry, the prices of the house went up to $250,000. I was like, no, you said $225. So I was like, nope, forget it. And then they were happy to rip up my check. So then fast forward 5 years after that, that's when we found this house in the same neighborhood. And I gotta see if I have my notes. I didn't put my notes on the side here.
No, it's fine.
Anyway, when we bought this house, we bought it at the bottom of the market, and it was about 2009. Or 2000, it was got in contract in 2009, closed, I believe, is 2010. That's on the next slide, and I don't have my notes.
So so I want to cut you off before we jump ahead. What was your initial intentions for this home?
Rental. This one.
All right, rental all the way.
Yep, I'm a buy and hold. I'll flip once in a while, but my bandwidth is buy and hold.
Awesome, makes sense. Okay, now we can go to the next slide.
Okay, thank you, because I have some notes on there. Oh,
all right.
Okay.
So
yep, we purchased it. It was December of 2010, and and at the bottom of the market, this house, and it's on the next slide, shows that. Is it possible to go to the next slide and then come back?
Nope, not yet. Nope. Not yet. We're gonna get there. Don't worry. I don't want to spoil it.
No, I have my numbers on there, so anyway, that's okay. Okay, so we ended up buying this house for 129,000, and so back 5 years earlier, it did actually sell for 265, and then
Okay.
I believe it was 200. I think then it sold for 350,000. So don't mark I don't have my notes, so I have them on the next page. So
No.
anyway, so we 350,000, and then we bought it in December of 2010 for 129, like at the bottom of the market. So we held it and held it all the way up until this year this year. We ended up selling that one. But what we did is it had a tiny little bit of rehab that it needed paint and the carpets
Right.
needed clean.
Mm-hmm.
So we rented it for 7 years. And then the last 3 years it was Airbnb. But when COVID hit, well, we all know what happened there.
Right.
So then Rob Arnold, I listed it with his flat rate listings. Thank you, Rob, wherever you are in there.
Okay.
So I highly recommend using Rob Arnold's flat rate listings, and ended up selling it and sold it in January of 2021. And the cool thing about this one is we took that, we paid down the debt, and I think it's 75,000. It turned out that we had $225,000 worth of profit, which we didn't want to pay capital gains. And I don't know how many people are familiar in the crowd of 1031 tax exchange. It's very powerful, and
Right.
we want to keep it. So, so that's a whole nother story there. But so we took the property, the profits from it, and then we bought a house, a vacation home in Georgia. And
Okay.
that's the one that's on the right-hand side.
So that's the full summary story of what we're looking at here. So the one question I had when we look at the slide, was this your first 1031 exchange, or had you done that before?
No,
Okay,
this was my first one.
Okay. And I think my next question will actually lead us to the next slide.
Okay.
But what were the factors that made you decide to go the 1031 exchange route?
Oh, to save money. And I wanted to buy another property anyway. So it was going from one rental to another. So we found a beautiful one in Georgia, and a cool place called Peachtree City that's got really lots of fun, great stuff going on there. And I'll tell you what our plans are with that house on the next slide, I guess.
Okay, great. All right, yeah. With that, let's go to the next slide, Buffy.
Okay.
But real quick before you jump in, you alluded to a lot of this already.
Okay.
And this is really cool how you put this real estate cycle in here. Mm-hmm. Two questions. How did that factor into your decisions that you made? And also, well, I guess it's not two questions, but go ahead and start from that initial purchase. So where in this graph did you start? Did you start the boom of the market?
Yeah, if you're looking at where the graph is, if you start from the boom and you go all the way down to the way bottom of the recession, all the way to the bottom, it just doesn't even show on the slide there. That's where we bought it at rock bottom. So it was all the way on the bottom of where that green is. And that house, then again, now that it's sold for 310. So it just in the boom market, it was as high as 350. And we bought it for 129 down in that recession, down in the bottom there. And then now again, then sold it for 310.
Okay.
So very important where you buy, and I learned that quick on my second deal, but that's another deal of the month. That one, I learned market cycles. I had a crash course in it because I bought at the wrong market cycle. I bought at the boom market, and I held it into the recession, and I slid down that hill very, very fast. But luckily I was able to rent it and then remortgage it, and it actually cash flows now. So I call that my graduate school. So it's super important to look at where you are in the market cycle. So a lot of people get really excited when you're going up to the top, and you see there's a lot of active construction and extensive construction, but there's a lot of great things coming into Orlando too. So that's going to hold Orlando probably longer than other places. So, but always it's very important to look at market cycles. It really can make you a lot of money, or it could or it could lose you a lot. You could lose a lot of money.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah. And I can definitely see that here with, the initial strategy was to buy and hold, and you rented it. What made you jump to Airbnb?
Well, I was using Airbnb, and then that's a whole long story. I have 3 Airbnbs now. So I have a very nomadic life, and I wanted to go live in California for a while, and I'm a big hiker and I wanted the mountains. So I decided to Airbnb my house in Orlando, and it did amazing. So, and then I ended up we ended up making this into an Airbnb. I had somebody that was full-time renter and they were moving. And I thought, I'm just going to try it. So that was nice because it was near Medical City. But this one didn't get as much traction as my other one that's right on the border of Orlando and Kissimmee line. It's super close to Disney, like 9 miles from the airport, 10 miles from Disney. So, and close to everything. So Airbnb has been really great for our family. We really like it a lot. And then we get to travel and go other places. And that's what I'm going to be doing with the house in Georgia. It's going to be Airbnb. And then we're also going to, I don't know if I should get into that yet, but we're also going to rent it out to movie crews. And so we'll do that on a daily rate. And because it's a beautiful house, it's 3 stories, it's right on a lake, and we're 12 miles from Pinewood Studios. So right now we're basically decking it out so that it shows really well. And we're going to just rent it out for movies. And then we could say, hey, that movie was filmed at our house, at one of our houses.
The literal movie house. House. All right. That's very cool. Okay, let's go to the next slide, Buffy. Yeah, that's amazing. So you alluded to this previously. What I love about this slide, and a lot of people have a ton of questions all the time about 1031 exchange. We actually did do a 1031 exchange deal of the month. It was our first deal of the month for January this year. That Fern Bird did. So we have some idea of what it is. So it's really awesome that you put this here for us to see. What was your experience like going through this 1031 exchange process? Super easy. Yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
No issues at all. Super easy. And what happened though is I was selling and buying like right at the same time. So I didn't need the entire time frame. So that probably is why it was super easy. We did have some difficulties selling the house, but that's a whole nother, the way that it was titled, long story, but I had to jump through a bunch of hoops to get that house in Orlando sold, but we did get that. And then, but the 1031 part was very easy. We used I don't know if they're a CFRI member, but she spoke at CFRI years ago out of, am I allowed to say?
Oh, I don't know. Well, you got help from someone within the membership, so we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
so leverage your networks, people. Leverage them. They're here.
Yeah, she was a speaker at one of the meetings, and she was amazing.
Okay.
It made it so painless. Basically, if you follow rules, it was easy.
Interesting. So no issues. So what I want to point out too, which I think is interesting, if we just look at the numbers, you sold it for 310. The purchase price was 129. And then I love that we were able to pull this out here, right? The mortgage pay down over the last 10 years, the whole benefit of that. What are your thoughts on the benefits that provided for you? You know, helping to pay it down and it increased your profit. I mean,
absolutely. And we paid more towards principal too, especially when the Airbnb was doing really well and we had a lot more. We're like, oh, let's just pay it off, because if we weren't planning on selling it, we thought we'd just go pay off. But then when the market tanked during COVID with the Airbnbs, and that house didn't get any traction at all. I had like one long-term tenant, the Airbnb tenant, and then after that, I was just, it was not one of the better properties. I still kept the other 2 Airbnbs, and now they're picking up and they're doing really well again. So,
okay, great. No, that's awesome. I love how you, from what I've seen with the cycle and everything that's going on in the current environment, you're able to shift your focus and still, come out on top. That's awesome.
Like I tell my kids that, life is a game board, and when certain things happen on that game board, you have to shift your strategies. You can't always play with on the same playing field. So like when COVID hit, for instance, and we lost all our Airbnb, and I had still mortgages, and I had one really high mortgage I had to pay, and I'm just going off on a little tangent, but I think it'd be interesting to people. I just bought my neighbor's house next door to me, and that was our 3rd Airbnb, and I dumped a ton of money in it, and I did an owner finance with her, subject to the existing mortgage. But on that one, what happened was my payment to her was $3,500 a month, because I'm thinking, oh, I have Airbnb, we make so much money, I'll be able to pay her off in no time. But then it shut down abruptly. So I advertised the house, and fortunately I got somebody from FEMA, a first responder from FEMA, and they stayed at the house, and then they had their per diem. Sorry about the background noise. So anyway, and so I was able to put those in the Airbnbs, but this house, I just couldn't find a full-time person for it. So that's why I was like, before the market does go down, or I'm not sure what was going to happen, we put it on the market in October, or no, it was I think the beginning of November, and then immediately had an offer and then sold it.
That's great. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. And thank you for the backstory. That's very helpful to fill in the blanks. So let's go to the last slide, Buffy.
Okay.
And it's the question slide. So we'll go through some of the questions if there are any. But before we do that, what is your advice for others thinking about doing a 1031 exchange? I mean, you made me very confident that I can do it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Do it before it's gone and there's too many rules on it.
Okay.
But there is some, I do have a link, and I'll probably try to put it in the comments of where you can write a letter to our governor to basically please to keep our 1031 tax exchange. But definitely highly recommend it. It's a great way of keeping your hard-earned money.
Definitely, for sure. Let's see. And last question, then I'll jump to the Q&A. Well, yeah, this is a good one. What did you enjoy most about doing the deal? I mean, you got a movie house, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and the house is just gorgeous. And you can't see the back of it here. It's 3 stories in the back, and it just goes down this big slope. And in the back right now, with all the green that's just come out, the spring was beautiful there. It's like you got 4 seasons, and it looks like you're up in a tree fort. And it's fun. I love the decorating of houses. I love the buying. I love the charge of the deal. All of the investors on here know when you buy that deal, it's a rush. And then like after you're done 3 months later, you're like, wait, where's the next one? Or some people even sooner. For me, it's the 3 months. I need another deal.
Get the next fix. Okay, no, it is addicting. It definitely is addicting.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. We're gonna go to the questions here. All right, the first one. It's proceeding with deal of the month. 1031 exchange states the replacement property should be similar to the old or to the one sold. How is it similar? Question mark. Property sold for $310 and purchased for $808K.
It has to be equal to or greater value, and it has to be like. So that was a house to a house, and my one question was I wanted to buy the house in Georgia, and is it okay if I sell a house in Florida and buy in Georgia? So the answer to that was yes. So that one I had answered early on. So instead of buying in Florida, I went up to Georgia, another market.
Very good. Let's see.
And Stephen, I think the last 2 questions in there are for her as well.
Yeah, someone wants to know. Let's see. Were you able to get a mortgage to buy on 2009? Did you refinance afterwards? Would you explain the financing on this property?
Okay, so the first property, we had just a regular mortgage on a not our primary residence, on an investment property, and that was on the house, the first house that you saw, and then on this one we took the money from the 1031, put that down. I had to put a little bit extra down as well on this house, and then got another mortgage. And that one we used a company called Lima One. And they are very, right now, they're giving out a lot of money for people that want to invest and that can show that they know what they're doing. So, and it's kind of interesting. I was saying on a previous meeting last week that now I'm getting phone calls because I bought also an apartment complex in South Carolina with Lima One. And now I have another mortgage company coming after me, wanting to give me money. I'm like, I don't know, I need a property. I have like, so when you get a great deal, the money follows. That's the moral to that story.
Definitely. Okay. And that kind of answered this last question from Tina. How did you finance the Peachtree house? So you just answered that. Yeah. I do see one more that was missed. Where it's interesting. Where do you think we are in the cycle now?
It depends, because the cycles are different in every area you're in. So you'd have to, in Orlando right now, we're definitely going up that hill on that other slide. We're heading up the hill, but there's so many good things coming into Orlando. And plus, as I said, I was living in California up until January, temporarily. We were all temporarily for on and off for the last 5 years. And so many people from California are moving. They're jumping ship. Just getting out because it's changed so much. A beautiful state, but just not a great place to be right now. And even in Peachtree City, a ton of the neighbors are all coming from California. So you're getting a lot of that influx to the East Coast and to more to states that have governors that are for the people. But I won't bring that up. Florida is the best state to be in. That's all I got to say. My primary residence is still in Florida. It will always be Florida. It's the best state in all of the United States to be in.
I totally agree. Totally agree. All right. Well, thank you. That's all the questions I see. Guys, if you have more questions, Tammy's information's been up on screen for about 5 or 10 minutes or so now. So hopefully you have that written down, screenshot, something. But again, Tammy, this has been awesome. I wish we had more time, but we don't.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I got more deals. I got so many stories to tell.
Okay, good. We may be talking more then, for sure.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank
you for having me. It was a pleasure.
No problem. All right. With that, next, we're going to have Chad. I don't think Devin's on, but we'll have Chad here, Chad Schultz, to talk through his deal.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey, Chad. How you doing?
Good, man.
All right. Very good. So I feel like deja vu. We just had you up here, Chad. But no, I appreciate you doing this. We had a late entry. Our other participant had to drop out. So I appreciate you last minute coming to the rescue and helping us and continue to contribute to the organization. So just want to say thank you.
Hey, no problem. I'm glad we had another deal. That just means we're staying busy, I guess.
Yeah. You guys are doing great. So let's talk a little bit about this one. The typical questions: when was the deal done? And then what was your method for getting this deal?
Okay, so we picked this up. We picked this deal up through a wholesaler. We have several that we get feeds from all the time. Excuse me. And I think we got this back in August is when we closed on it.
Okay.
We purchased it back in August, and it just sold recently. And that seems like quite a long time because we try to keep things to about 4 months. But with this project, it was a burnout. Excuse me. It was a burnout that happened in like 2011 or so. And the previous owner pulled permits to do the renovation or to fix it.
Okay.
And then that person passed away.
Oh,
So
wow.
somebody else wound up with the home, and they piggybacked on the original permits. And then that person ran out of money.
Oh.
And so then the house sat for a while. So by the time we got it, the county was fed up with the permit chain, and it took us almost 3 months of jumping through hoops with the county to get the permits to where they were going to allow us to finish the property, which that was our biggest delay, was just arguing with the county permit office.
Getting the permits situated. All right. Well, wow. Unbelievable. Let's go to the next slide, Buffy. And so I see you got a pretty decent purchase price, as you alluded to, with the wholesaler helping you out there. What was your biggest concern going in to this? I mean, I'd imagine you didn't know much going in, but what was your biggest concern?
Well, really, the biggest concern, of course, we had no history, had nobody to talk to, no history on the property other than what we could kind of just research through the county permit. We could see the permit history. But the biggest concern was the permits. We went into this thinking that it wasn't going to be a big deal. We were just going to piggyback on the existing permits. And then, of course, the county wanted to change up the game. So
yeah,
we actually partnered with a general contractor on this one so that we wouldn't have those permit issues, which ultimately worked to our benefit because that person was able to walk through the permit process and get the county to at least be reasonable, and then once we got everything cleared, the rest wasn't a big deal. I mean, this house, you can see it was basically framed inside. It had been rewired and replumbed, although that had to be completed.
I see.
But it was really just, drywall, paint, and almost the same as any other project we'd done, only that we had to pull the permits behind it, to make sure that we could get a certificate of occupancy on this.
Got it. So what were some of the factors that determined it was a good home to flip? I mean, the fact that it had already kind of started, you're like, oh, we get a leg up, or does that hinder, the process?
No, we thought this would be a really good one. I mean, obviously the price, think about what people are paying for houses now, even wholesale property houses.
True.
That price is only, 6 months ago. So that was or maybe 8 months ago, I guess. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But so that was a really good price at the time. You know, at the time we bought this for 63, you had a hard time finding anything in the Daytona, Ormond, Holly Hill, Port Orange area for, you know, anything under about 90, 95. So we thought that the price was great. This particular zip code is one of my favorites for doing flips, just because I know that the turnaround is easy. So it had a lot of advantages there. And if you look at this, if you look past, you know, the fact that it's just an open frame inside, you can realize that all you're doing is buying some drywall. Other than the drywall, it's the same as any other flip we did. So, you know, a lot of people don't see past that kind of stuff. So, you know, for us, it was the same as we've always done, just with the fact we added some drywall. So
Very good. All right, let's go to the next slide. And with that, we got something a little special. It's a Steve Young production. So guys, don't beat me up too much in the internet world. Chad, we're gonna go on mute while this video plays. And the idea is just to give people a sense of, you know, what you had to go through. It's one thing to have the list here, but let's actually take a look. So
sure.
When you're ready, Buffy, and we're gonna go on mute, Chad.
All right.
All right. All right, there you go. So the sound wasn't too great on my end, but guys, you get a sense of what Chad and Devin had to go throughout. So just elaborate a little bit on some of that we just witnessed, Chad, if you don't mind. Like with the repiping, maybe talk about some of the big challenges that you faced.
Well, the biggest challenge, we had to fire the contract, not the general contractor. We had to fire a couple of the guys that were the subs that were working for us that were supposed to do a large amount of the heavy lifting here. But that was our biggest challenge. The rest, I mean, we've got a good plumber we've used for many projects. We've got a good licensed electrician that we use that can usually get things done. And just really the biggest challenge, having to fire the main labor guys that were doing our drywall and all of that heavy lifting. And then just the county I think the county was just really fed up with this property. I mean, it had been in the permit process for like 8 years or something like that, 9 years.
Oh my gosh.
And so, you know, we were the ones taking the brunt of the county's frustrations with the property, you know? So, but once we got past that, we got our C of O and everything worked out great. It was just a matter of the house needed literally everything except windows and doors. You know, the interior framing, we moved one or two little things, but then we had to finish all of the electrical. We had to finish all the plumbing. We actually had to redo all of the HVAC, including all of the supply lines, all of the ductwork. None of it was up to code, even though some of it was in the house. So we had to redo all that stuff. But
oh my gosh.
you know, a few extra costs, of course, you know, but it really turned out to be a pretty good project, a fun project, and we did really well with it.
All right, very good. Well, let's go to the next slide and see how well you did.
Oop, backwards.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right, very good. So even with the additional rehab costs that you hadn't anticipated, you still even sold it for more than what your initial ARV was.
Right. Yeah. The
awesome.
market's just doing so well, of course, everywhere. And we probably could have gotten a little bit more for this property. It actually appraised a little bit over what the sold price is. But in this particular case, our buyer is one of those quote unquote hometown hero situations. And so we felt more like we'd rather sell it to the right person for the right reason rather than make a couple, you know, 3,000 or 4,000 extra. You know, we could have sold this house for 185 or a little bit more, but you know, we believe in giving back to the community as much as we can and in different ways that we can. And so in this case, this person really deserved the property, and being the hometown hero thing, we decided to go with a particular buyer for those reasons.
That's awesome. I love that. So one thing I want to touch on is social media. So we were able to pull this together literally within a few hours today. You had a ton of pictures, which I managed to put into a video. So how important is social media for you, you know, in your company, and maybe just overall for real estate investors? Because I think it's something we don't really think about, but what's your thoughts on that, the role for social media?
You know, like anything else, nothing happens overnight. So I would tell people, start building your brand, so to speak, or getting your social media going, because it's not what you do today that's going to help you tomorrow necessarily. But, you know, 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, or even farther, you're going to find that you're going to benefit from it, especially if you're turning out a good project. And this project, the previous project, and even a project we're working on right now, you know, because I've been categorizing these, if you want to say, or what's the word? I mean, we're keeping track of projects as they go. We're showing the before, the during, the after.
Okay. Yeah.
And we keep all of that on Facebook so people can watch these projects. It's almost like watching one of the TV shows, except it doesn't happen in an hour. It might happen over 3 or 4 months, you know?
Sure, right.
And so they're watching these projects as they, you know, feel like they want to check in on them, but they can see the transformation. And we've actually sold several projects without having to list them. We've sold them without having to advertise them.
Wow.
People have come to us, and we just started a project literally 7 days or 8 days ago, and we've already got people in line to buy it, you know? So the Facebook thing has been working out really good. The social media, you know, we're keeping that information out there. We're trying to let people participate in our projects by being there and seeing the transformation.
Yeah.
And it's working really well for us.
That's amazing. So thank you for answering that. Last question for this slide. Any issues that you faced while trying to close, or was this pretty much your standard?
Trying to close?
Yeah, to close. Yeah, any issues?
Yeah, well, it was a little bit different in that, like I had mentioned before, this person, like I said, being a hometown hero, they're getting some down payment assistance through the Mid-Florida, which is a program through the county, you know, as far as down payment stuff. But this person actually, because of what they're involved in as far as their job and some other things, they actually qualify for one of only 3 very high award packages. And so we had a few extra hoops to jump through with the county to get this extra award. I mean, this person wasn't just getting like a $5,000 down payment assistance. This person actually got $40,000 from the county.
Wow.
On, you know, on top of what their lender loaned them. And so it's actually like trying to close 2 or 3 transactions to purchase one property. And there's just been some extra hoops and, you know, different communication issues that once we got all that figured out, all the pieces fell together, you know. And
got it.
If you can have some patience, because it's just a little bit more, you know, the government likes to add red tape to things. So it's a little bit more, you know, hoops to jump through. But if you can have that patience, it's a no-brainer really, because you know the money's good.
Right, exactly. That's awesome. All right, last slide, Buffy. And this, while she's doing that, okay, good. So we're gonna open it up for questions. Just like I asked Tammy, I'll ask you the same question. What did you enjoy most about? Actually, I don't think I asked her that, but anyways, I'm gonna ask you. What did you enjoy most about doing the deal? I mean, obviously, you built it for a hero, which is super incredible, or maybe you didn't realize that's what you were doing it for. But what did you enjoy most about the deal?
Yeah, we didn't really know who we were building it for, you know, until later. And
I see.
You know, the buyer kind of came on board towards the very end. But you know, I really enjoy the projects. A lot of people their idea of running a flip is they buy the property, they have a manager on site. Maybe they call people once in a while, or they might even stop by and check on it. And then they collect a check at the end, they hope, and that's not my style. That's not what I like to do. And I think Devin's the same way. We like to be involved in the project, and all of the kitchen and all the bathroom work you saw, all the tile work in the house, we did that ourselves. And a lot of people don't want to do that, or maybe they don't have the skill to do that, which is fine, but you can be involved in your projects and do a lot more than just, drive by once in a while. You're going to get a much better project if you're involved to some degree, and you don't have to lay tile, obviously, but
Sure.
Be involved, show up at your project, let people know that you're paying attention, and let people know that what you expect, and you turn out a better project. And it's only going to help you down the road, because, the word's going to get around, whether you intend for it to or not. The word's going to get around of the type of project you do, whether it's good or bad. So, but I just love being involved in the projects, and, you get that extra rush. Like Tammy was saying earlier, you get that property and you get all excited, and a few months later, you're looking for the next one. It's just another way to satisfy that adrenaline need, by actually being involved in the project, and you almost get a double rush at the end, because you're not just getting a check, but you're getting satisfaction.
Very good. Awesome. All right. Thanks for that, Chad. So let's see. Let's go to the questions. I think you may have answered this, but we'll ask it. Why did the county give you a hard time? What was the issues?
The main problem, as far as the county was concerned, is just that this permit had been open so long. They actually forced us to close all the previous permits and apply for a completely new permit. We had to make sure everything in this house was built to current codes.
Okay.
Current codes for current new construction. So even though this house, I think it's a 1962 or 63, the only thing 1962 or 3 about this home is the 8-foot block exterior wall. That's the only thing original to this house. Everything else in this house is 2020. It's all done by current codes. So it's a brand new home that's just set down inside of a 1963 block wall. And so
very cool.
So that was it. They made us pull all the permits from scratch and essentially start the project over.
Okay. Next question. Do you manage your subcontractors, or do you leave that to a GC to do everything from A to Z?
No, we normally manage any subs that we bring in. We have, like I said earlier, we have good relationships with electricians, plumbers. We have drywall workers and things like that. Now, after we got rid of this other guy that was being a pain, we've filled his slot with some other more reliable people. And
sure.
So we generally tend to be our own managers, so to speak, and we control all the different subs. This one here, we had a GC mainly for the licensing purpose, because we couldn't pull our own permits.
Very good. All right. Let's see here. How much did you pay in taxes on the profit, or what did you do to reduce the taxes?
On the profit, well, we won't be paying taxes on the profit until the end of this year, because this just recently closed. So they'll be on our 2021 tax returns.
Right.
And of course, I would say just your best bet to try to reduce those things, just keep track of all your expenses, all of your mileage, all of the other items that you can use to deduct that don't necessarily come out of your pocket. And I would check with your accountant on that kind of stuff. Everybody's tax situation is different.
True.
Most of our projects, in most cases, they'll fall under capital gains. This one might be different since we were really hands-on, so just write off as much as you can write off and talk to your accountant about that.
Perfect. That's an excellent answer. Excellent. All right. Mari, I'm going to get to your question, but I'm saving it for last. Okay. What is the process for firing a subcontractor?
Well, Devin likes to do that, actually. So we sick Devin on him. Pretty much you just sit down and say, look, it's not working. You're done. And say, get all your stuff and get off the property and don't come back, kind of thing.
Man, so, Devin's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, man, he loves doing that stuff. Sorry he couldn't be on tonight.
Oh, man. Okay. Very good. So last question. I don't know if you know the answer, but What heroic thing did they do to get $40,000?
I don't know the backstory as to why specifically why they qualify for that, but what I understand is that the county down payment program, the down payment assistance program, has 3 slots in any given 12-month time frame or any annual time frame that they give out these upper level or higher end down payment assistance things. This person, at least from what I know, without revealing too much information,
Sure.
this person is a either a nurse or a nurse assistant or something like that, and they're in process to be an actual fully licensed nurse here locally. It's also a single female, and she's also kind of overcome a lot of other odds. I mean, there's a whole story to this person's life history, family history, things like that. And this person has kind of just been the shining star that's come up out of that, group. And she's just done really well despite all of the quote odds against her, so to speak. And so she just, she's graduated from college and some different things that none of her family members have done. She's gone a different direction than what might be typical of somebody in her situation. And so she just really put a lot of effort into life in general, plus the fact that her whole goal is helping others by being in the nursing field. So, that's really kind of a cool thing. So.
No, it's definitely cool. And I love the fact that, and people, I try to tell this to as many people as possible, us as real estate investors, we're in the business of helping people. And so you did just that, not even knowing that this house was going to be sold to her. You just told us that you built a house that's brand new, and she is probably the most deserving person, right, to receive that house. And so she's getting something brand new that she can move into, grow her family. And, I appreciate you and Devin. I appreciate all the rehabbers and all the real estate folks out there. Pat yourselves on the back. When you work with integrity and honor, you get rewarded and you're helping people's lives. So thank you, Chad. This has been awesome. This is great. Again, Chad's information is right there on screen, everybody. So if you want to connect with him or Devin later and learn more about what they're doing, feel free to do that. But with that, that's it. So thanks, Chad.
No problem. Thanks, Stephen.
No problem.
That was some fascinating stuff, and really great to hear how, again, especially Chad with that one, where you were able to help somebody out. That's just, that really makes it hit home. It really does. Pun intended, of course.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Stephen, for doing that. And thank you to Tammy and Chad, especially, like you said, Chad, for pinch hitting real quickly, since we had the other one that had a family emergency and couldn't be here tonight. So appreciate that getting done. And again, a reminder for everyone, if you haven't done so already, we want you to go ahead and be putting your questions in the Q&A section. Remember, that's not in the chat, but putting it in the Q&A section so that we have the opportunity to see those questions and get those questions answered for you through our esteemed panel of experts who are all business members here at CFRI. Now, if you've been around CFRI for a while, you probably remember that we used to have business members come up on stage and give us a quick intro on who they were, what they did. And tonight we're going to start with something similar to that, give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. We have asked, of course, in advance for everybody to give us some questions, but we're continuing to ask for those questions now. So again, if you have questions for us, please do put them in the Q&A so that we can take a look at those and make sure that we get them answered. We're going to start off here by giving each of our panelists a moment to introduce themselves. Each panelist is going to have 60 seconds to introduce themselves, to give their contact information, to tell us briefly what it is they do. And after each panelist introduces themselves, we're going to ask them to also put their information in the chat. Now, they're putting stuff in the chat, not you guys. All right, you guys that have questions, that goes in the Q&A. That way we can see it and we can make sure it gets answered. But of course, don't worry about it if you don't hear it, if you don't see it, because as we told you earlier, all these folks are business members. All their information is, in fact, on the CFRI website. So you can go out to cfri.net and you can find all of their information And we're going to go ahead and get started with this in just a second. We have asked all the presenters to basically keep their mics off until they're the ones talking. We're going to get these questions from, of course, our audience, and we had a few that came in early. We had a few that came in right now. We're looking for a few more in case you have some that you want to get answered. Since some of the questions may apply to some presenters more than others, we're going to try and make sure that we have a diverse set of questions. So, we're going to try and go through a lot of different things and get a lot of information out this evening. All right. So having said that, we're going to go through these, like I said, in order, and we're going to give everybody a chance to introduce themselves, tell you who they are, what they do, and give their contact info. And first up on our list is Roland Acosta.
Hello, everyone. I'm Roland Acosta with Acosta, Moore & Shrader. We're a small boutique law firm consisting of 4 attorneys and support staff. We're located at 1085 West Morse Boulevard, Winter Park, Florida, 32789. The phone is 407-644-2531. We engage in a number of practice areas. We practice estate planning, probate, bankruptcy, business law, etc. But our primary focus is real estate law. I have been a member of CFRI for a number of years. I enjoy working with investors because of the unusual and unique questions that are presented to me, which allows me to be creative and a problem solver. I attempt to be a valuable resource to investors. Within the building, which is pictured here, is a building that I own. And in the building is a law firm, an attorney-owned and managed title company, a hard money lending business that my son manages, a CPA practice headed by my wife, which she manages. So we try to do everything for all the investors. We try to be a one-stop shop. I have a motto that I try to live up to, and my motto is, I'm Roland Acosta, the problem solver. I turn nightmares into dreams.
All right. Thank you, Roland. Appreciate that intro. And let's see, Buffy, I don't see Michael Clavin on there. Is he on there?
He was earlier.
Okay.
So nope.
All right.
On to the next one.
We are going to move on to the next one, which is Trevellis. Yeah. You're on mute, Trevellis. Trevellis, you're on mute. See if you can unmute. There we go.
There he goes.
Now we're good.
Trevellis, turn your video off. You're breaking up. Trevellis, turn your video off.
Try that.
My video.
Ooh.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit. It is breaking up really badly, though. No, it's breaking up really badly. Trevellis, why don't we see if you can drop and come back in, and we'll try to come back over to you. Ooh. All right. We will move on around the list. And yeah, Trevellis, if you could maybe try to.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So we will move on to our next participant, who is going to be Ben. Is Ben here? I think I saw him.
Yeah, I'm here.
There he is. There he is. Thank you, Ben. Sorry, there are so many pictures up here. It's just hard to see who's where. Go for it. You're up, Ben.
That's okay. Ben Laube. Ben Laube with Ben Laube Homes, brokered by eXp Realty. I run a real estate team of 15 agents that do residential transactions across Central Florida, also stretching all the way to New Smyrna Beach and all the way down to Daytona. I'll put my contact information in the chat, but we cover those areas and we work a lot with buyers, sellers, and investors. Right now, it seems like we have a lot of people coming into state doing 1031 exchanges from outside of state. So it was nice to see that conversation earlier in that example.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that not everybody knows about, and certainly probably more people at least want to be able to take advantage of, and hopefully we can continue to do that. So yeah, great. All right, let's see here. David Wagner is next. David?
Hello, everybody. My name is David Wagner. I am a residential and commercial lender. I have my own mortgage brokerage firm located in soon-to-be Leesburg, Florida. Just got a place. I'm actually originally from New Orleans. Sorry for all of our Tampa guys, but so I'm a Saints fan. But I specialize in fix and flip, new construction. I've got some excellent credit lines for those types of things. As well as the exit strategy, I actually help my investor clients set up how they're best going to sell it at the top price by making sure we've got great residential lending products just waiting in the wings for them to do it. So you can reach me at 888-348-1778 or dwagner@betterbusinesslenders.com. And I give special rates to your clients so we can create a preferred builder or preferred flipper type program as well. Thank you so much for having me. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent. Appreciate that, David. And again, as we go through, everybody's going to give their contact info, and please make sure everybody is, after you introduce yourself, that you do put your contact info in the chat for everybody so they can see it there as well. And next on our list, Mr. Augie Bylot.
Well, good evening, CFRI. It's so good to be here. Good to see everybody. Some great deals of the month tonight. I'm with Commonwealth Trust Services, and we actually help you keep what you do private. I've been investing for 30 years, and I moved to Florida, joined CFRI in 2003. So I've been around for a while. I've done about 600 transactions. But you're not going to find records of many of them. Most of them, as a matter of fact, because I use land trusts. They keep my name off public record. They reduce my likelihood of being sued. And if I get sued, I've got multiple layers of defense. One of the things that's unique about Commonwealth is we can not only serve as your trustee. My partner is an attorney, Andrea Aylett Hosh, licensed here in the state of Florida, been practicing for about 30 years. And we work with lots and lots of different title companies. We have some that are very much preferred because they absolutely positively understand how to do investor type transactions. But the other thing we bring to the table is me. I help people that are in our business learn to structure their deals most effectively, most efficiently, and most profitably. So we can do a lot of things to help you achieve what you need to do. And I can't believe that somebody's calling me right in the middle of this. But anyway, you can find us at yourlandtrust.com. You can also call us at 407-755-1010. And you can reach me at Augie at Commonwealth Trust Services. And I will put my information in the chat, and I look forward to working with you guys. One other thing, if you're interested in some real estate books, I've published a couple. Go to Amazon, put in Augie Bylot books, and you'll find two, one on protecting your stuff and also how to acquire more stuff. So thanks so much. Have a great meeting.
Thank you, Augie. Appreciate that. All right, next up on our list is Cindy. And Cindy, I was almost going to say Fulco there, but it's Cindy Goodrich, isn't it?
It is. Hi, I'm Cindy Goodrich. I'm with Equity Title. We are a full service title insurance and escrow company. We're starting our 20th year in business. It's a family owned business. My mother and father started the business. We pride ourselves on being able to handle most any kind of transaction you can throw at us, from conventional or refinances, private lenders. We work with a lot of investors. We deal with land trusts. We handle all kinds of investor transactions like assignments, double close, subject to. We've been CFRI members for over 10 years now, and we service the whole state of Florida. My email is admin@equity-title.com, and our telephone number is 863-802-9300.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cindy. And moving down the list here, Foster is next.
Oh, good evening. Good to see everybody here. I'm in the company of quite a few knowledgeable people of real estate. It's nice to see everyone. Real estate extraordinaire at large, Foster Algier. Done a lot of different things. Many of you know me as a wholesaler, First Alliance Capital. We've been wholesaling houses since the beginning of time, it seems. But I've fixed up houses, I've done foreclosure sales, tax deed sales, lease options. We buy everything in trust. Those cover a lot. Right now I'm doing a bunch of rehabs, hoteling. So I have a lot of different things in the last 24 years of doing real estate that I like to talk about. One of my areas I do a lot of work in is probate. Maybe you've seen me do my thing for CFRI once or twice before. So I'm glad to be here tonight. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Foster. And again, remember everybody, after you introduce yourselves, to put your information into the chat so that people know how to contact you and get a hold of you. And, you know, it's kind of fascinating. Foster was mentioning, and a couple other folks mentioned, that they have some years of experience here. I think it would be really interesting if we could add up the total number of years experience just on that panel right there. It'd be a fairly staggering number, I suspect. Next on our list, Mr. Charles Fischer.
Well, hello, and happy Wednesday, fellow CFRI members. First, I want to thank Jay and Buffy and the entire board for putting on these great meetings. Again, my name is Charles Fischer. I am the current county leader for the Brevard County chapter of CFRI, past president and lifetime member as well. And I'll put about 21 years of experience on your panel there, Jay. I joined CFRI in 1999. About 6 years later, I retired from my full-time job. That was 2005 at the ripe old age of 37. So yeah, I'm still about 42, 43, right? Something like that, but we're not counting. Currently, you know, was the owner broker of Fischer Realty. We just recently transitioned that to the Fischer Group at EXP Realty. We're having a lot of fun. One of the things we're doing now is really working on, you know, what has been coined the hybrid agent business model. So we're working heavily with investors who are doing both investor type business and retail transactions as well. I also own a property management company. We focus on Brevard County, doing some commercial deals right now, and super excited about my expansion into North Carolina. I know, you know, earlier we heard one of our deals of the month, right? She was talking about her property in Georgia. We just bought 2 mountains with all the land in between, and we're building a RV and campground in the mountains of North Carolina. So super excited, got our hands in a couple different things in focusing on having fun, getting this phone to ring a lot less. You know, for years I spent trying to get the phone to ring. Now I want the phone to not ring, so other people are taking care of things for us. But just awesome, happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Charles. Maybe we could kind of coin that as a new system of measurement. Are you in the phone ring stage or the not phone ring stage? All right.
I'm in the becoming obscure. That's the goal.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Next on our list is Jonathan Fitzgerald.
Hi, everyone. Jonathan Fitzgerald. See a lot of familiar faces on here. I work in real estate and also design. So licensed broker. I help find properties, help walk through them, help do analysis of what's going to be involved if it is an investment property to bring that property up to speed. Also handle project management. And then I do have a master's in architecture. So I can bring a lot of ideas and help with going through that process. So look forward to meeting each one of you in person as soon as things reopen again, and good to see the number of people that are on the call here this evening.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And yep. And again, just to remind everybody, after you have your turn to present, just make sure your contact information is in the chat for everyone. And let's see, up next is David Van Dyke.
Good evening, CFRI. My name is David Van Dyke. I'm with 5 Star Claims Adjusting. We are licensed public adjusters, and so we represent homeowners, property owners, both commercial, residential owners when they're entering into the claims process for any one of their properties. And we help you manage that process by making sure you fill out the proper paperwork, get things done in a timely manner, and are able to get the maximum amount of money that your policy affords you. All the policies are different now, so it gets can be a little confusing. So it's real important to have somebody on your team and on your side that represents you. When the insurance company sends an adjuster out to adjust your claim, they do not represent you, even though you've been paying your premiums faithfully for years. So just remember that you want to have someone represent you. We handle claims such as water loss, storms, AC, fire. So any type of peril that could force you to make a claim and invoke your policy, we would be able to help you with that. And like I said, we help both commercial and residential. And just remember, it pays to have a public adjuster on your team. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. And let's see, next up on our list here is Marlene Green. Somebody I haven't had a chance to talk to in a long time. How are you, Marlene?
I'm so happy to be back. Old time CFR VP. It's so cool to see this format. Hello, everybody. Hello, friends. Okay, I'm here as a LegalShield independent representative. And there have been a lot of changes with the company. So I want to share it with you because a lot of it is targeted to real estate investors. We give you the ability to make unlimited calls to a local law firm here in Orlando and whatever state you're based out of on any matter, trivial or traumatic. So if you've stayed up all night worrying about something, never fear. Just with this app on your phone, you can make a phone call and get legal advice and help. And it's very affordable. You can get plans for your business entity, for your employees, for your family, and they've just really widened the gamut. So I want to share and educate everyone on what's available because a lot has changed. And for those of you who have businesses or real estate in multiple states, they now allow you to have one plan that covers multiple states, which is something that they didn't have before. So as far as my information, the URL to go to the website is protectmyfamilyandbusiness.com, protectmyfamilyandbusiness.com. And my phone number for phone calls or texts, if you want to learn more, is 407-519-0260. I'll put it in the chat. And I'm here to help you learn how to use it so you have an additional resource in addition to the awesome attorneys that you have at CFRI.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Marlene. And next up is Curtis Wilson.
Hi, everybody. I'm attorney Curtis Wilson. I'm a managing litigation attorney with McCalla, Raymer, Leibert, Pierce. It is a large multi-state real estate and finance law firm. We are in multiple states doing everything from foreclosure to eviction. We have a national eviction platform as well as a bankruptcy platform. And we service everybody from the small single property investors all the way up into the large major banks and investment groups. We do everything from your quiet title work to any type of foreclosure action, including contested foreclosures you might need in multiple states. I'll put my contact information for the firm in the chat.
Great. Thank you so much, Curtis. Appreciate that. Next on our list is Fern Burr. Hey, Fern.
I am the lovely and talented Fern C. Burr, past president, lifetime member of CFRI. For over 20 years, I've owned Mortgage Professionals of Central Florida, which is a licensed Florida mortgage brokerage business. But if you come to visit us at our offices in Sanford, you'll see it's better than a deal of the month. Maybe it's a deal of the century. One of the smartest things we ever did. House is our mortgage business, house is our real estate business, and 2 apartments upstairs. So woohoo, business and rental portfolio combined. We're special for several reasons. One is we are one of the few lenders around that does conventional for your primary, your vacation home, your investment property, as well as your private, AKA hard money lending. So it's one-stop shopping. We also do, I'm also a lifelong real estate investor, both buy and hold and flip. So I think I have a unique understanding of a real estate investor's perspective and wants and needs when it comes to borrowing money. Please, whether it's us or someone else, use a local lender instead of an internet lender. It's always good to shop local. You can call the rest or you can call the best. You can reach me at 407-330-2855. My email is fern@cfl.rr.com. I'll put it in the comments. We offer modern technology combined with old-fashioned customer service.
So nice to hear all that. Thank you, Fern. We really appreciate it. And next up is Nate Taylor.
How's it going, everybody? Hope you can hear me. Good to meet everybody virtually for the first time. I just moved out here from Texas. I am the new director of sales for NuView Trust Company. I know we probably have a lot of clients on the line. You guys are familiar with Glenn Mather. I am new to NuView, but I am not new to self-directed IRAs. I've been in the business for about a decade now. And the thing that I love about IRAs is that listening to everybody kind of pitch their product or their investment strategies, IRAs fit in almost every single category. So if you are interested in deferring taxes or eliminating taxes, buying real estate in an IRA will solve that problem. If you are looking to raise private capital for some of your deals, you can raise private capital by borrowing money from other people's IRAs. If you want to be a lender, you can be a lender with your IRA or your 401k. You can invest in land trusts. Somebody talked about land trusts. You want true anonymity for your IRA assets. You can invest in land trusts with your IRA. So basically what NuView does is it provides investors to use their IRAs, old 401ks, old 403bs to buy what we call alternative assets, which would be things like real estate, promissory notes secured by real estate, investments into private companies, cryptocurrency, basically anything that you want to invest in outside of the stock market. That's what NuView Trust holds in our clients' accounts. And we do a lot of education as well. So I'm really interested to network with more people. We do a lot of education. I do a lot of guest speaking, interested in maybe doing some guest speaking with some of the members here. And I know where there was a real estate agent on here earlier. I even teach a 3-hour continuing education course to real estate agents regarding self-directed IRAs. So a lot of fun stuff. I'm really interested to meet everybody for the first time. So I'll put my information in the chat here in a sec.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate that. Next up is Anthony Roy.
Good evening. I'm happy to be a part of this esteemed panel. I was a little nervous. I asked Buffy, do you really want me to be a part of this panel? And she assured me that I would be okay. I'm a pretty short tenured member of CFRI. I've only been a part of this group for about 8 or 9 months. I've learned so much. I've been a contractor. I'm the owner of Orange Avenue Enterprises. We're a commercial general contractor, and we mostly do our business with 5-star hotels, commercial build outs. We do historic renovation of homes and restaurants, all sorts of build outs. So commercial construction is our game. I also do investing on the side, and our offices are in downtown Sanford. Look forward to meeting with you guys. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you, Anthony. And again, a reminder, everybody, most of you have already done this, but just if you haven't, make sure after you introduce yourselves that you put your contact info in the chat for everyone. Next up on our list is Arcoma.
Wonderful. Glad to be here tonight. My name is Arcoma. I'm the business development manager for PCS Title, which is Joe Siegel's office. I've been an investor for 17 years and a broker of some rank in the last 10. And so what we do over at Joe's office is kind of soup to nuts. Obviously, we take care of your regular and conventional and VA and all those types of closings. But Joe specializes in all of the seller financing, which we do all your note and deeds and mortgages and everything inside the closing as well. Plus, of course, we do all your subject to properties. He acts as a trustee for those under TRSCE, which is our trust company. And then, of course, we have Joe Siegel Law, which does all the backup for any liens, judgments, code enforcement, craziness. So send us your contracts and we'll get them taken care of. If you have any questions, please email arcoma@pcstitle.com or you can text me at 407-734-3323 and have a great meeting.
Thank you so much, Arcoma. And again, just a reminder to all of our participants, if you have questions, please do go ahead and make sure you're getting those into the Q&A. Reminder to our panelists, please do not try to answer those or anything while they're in there. We'll go through them and selectively go through and answer those as we go through so that we can see them. And everybody remember to put your information into the panelists. Remember to put your information in the chat as we go through. Next up, we have Mark Orman.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Orman. I'm a licensed roofing contractor as well as a licensed general contractor. I've been a member since 1993, so we're going on 28 years now, almost as long as the CFRI has been in existence. I think there's one other member who's been longer than me, but been coming all the time when we were coming. Meeting, but I specialize in all kinds of roofs, shingle roofs, metal, tile, everything, repairs, brand new roofs, insurance, claims, anything involving that. As far as general contractor, I've done rehabs, build outs for commercial buildings. We're in the process of building a house right now. About everything as far as construction. I done flips, wholesale flips. I've done rents, pretty much everything, a little bit everything. So just enjoy the seeing everybody, at least on screen. Hopefully we'll see everybody in person here fairly soon.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Okay, and next up is Michael Daniels.
Hi, Mike Daniels with Rentivity. About 19 years in real estate. Used to have a brokerage firm in Lake Marion, Oviedo, and spent quite a bit of time in the institutional space managing nationwide vacant tenant occupied REO, and did acquisitions for some of the big funds acquiring single family rentals. Decided at middle age to step out on my own and raise capital and start a software company and try to clean up the leasing process. So Rentivity is it's a highly automated touchless application, allows you to complete your entire residential leasing process in a single system. They have some unique features like auction style leasing, which is optional, where you can allow pre-qualified renters to bid on the monthly price of a home. Shows you real-time market activity. So if market's going down, you can see what people are willing to pay and rent it faster. And if market's going up, you can get a little more for the property. Allows you to set up your account, all of your pre-qualification criteria, documents you collect, digitize your own custom workflow, upload your lease documents, your payment information. Then tenants can go in and pull their own background screening report, do the application process, get matched up to properties that they would seem to qualify for, bid on the properties, and it will just go through prompts and take everybody through the system. All the communications contained in one system. So in the end, what you get is a completely digital audit trail, which we also capture in the blockchain. You don't need third-party showing applications. You don't need a DocuSign or a Hello sign or separate payment processing. The whole works can be captured in a single system. So we're about ready to launch that, and then we're also going to launch a crowdfunding campaign and keep right on building.
All right, outstanding. Thank you. Appreciate having you here. And let's see, next up, Mr. Rob Arnold.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Rob Arnold. I'm the broker owner of Sand Dollar Realty Group in Altamont Springs. I've been a member CFRI for over 20 years now. I'm a lifetime member, past board member, past group leader, and I'm the current legislative chairperson for CFRI. At Sand Dollar Realty Group, we can help you with pretty much anything real estate related, buyers, sellers, investors, landlords. We sell hundreds of properties all over the state, from Jacksonville to Orlando to Miami every year. Millions and millions of dollars of real estate every year, flow through our office because we specialize with investors. We do flat fee MLS listings where we can list properties in the MLS for CFRI members for a deep discount, like a for sale by owner type listing. We also do full service listings where we manage the entire listing from time we put side in the ground until the time it closes. We do a lot of those, and we do them at a discounted rate as well. We also consult with investors and homeowners to do a lot of creative problem solving, especially when the market gets all crazy like it just seems like it's been for the last year or so. You really need somebody that knows what they're doing to get your property sold to the best buyer that's actually going to close. Also specialize in sinkhole damage properties. If you know of any sinkhole damage properties anywhere in the state of Florida, be happy to consult with you on that. We also buy them and try to rehabilitate them if we can. I've been investing in Florida for a long time, going on 30 years now almost. I've seen ups and downs of the market multiple times. I've dealt with about every single issue that you could imagine. Would love to talk to you about your real estate situations, and we need more listings. The Orlando area is booming and growing, and it just continues to get more and more people here, and there's just not enough properties for these people to buy. So always looking for more listings. And lastly, I am the CFRI legislative chair, like I mentioned earlier. So if anybody out there, if you come across any issue that might affect real estate investors and landlords, mortgage lenders, anything to do with what our membership is involved with at either state, local, or the national level, please reach out to me and contact me. My number is 407-375-4567, and I'll put my contact information in the chat. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. And again, we appreciate you serving as a legislative chair and keeping an eye on those things for us, because that is some very important details that we all want to know. What's the latest, what's going on. So certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, glad to help out.
All right, next up we have Richard Zwick.
Hi guys, my name is Richard Zwick and I'm the property manager for $1 Property Management. We cover Volusia, mostly the West Volusia area, Seminole County and Orange County. We started the company about 10 years ago by investors to serve investors. And since that time, we have been lucky to have one eviction. So we think we're doing a pretty good job at it. One of the things that makes us unique is we like to do a lot of inspections on our rental properties. We do 4 inspections a year, 2 drive-bys and 2 interior inspections. Everybody benefits by that, especially the owner of the property. So one of the things that investors like that we do is we do tenant placement. We'll find the tenant, screen them out, collect the money, place the tenant in the property, and then they turn it over to you. And I would like to do a PSA, if I could, to piggyback on Rob. In the CFRI Facebook this week, I found Harry Heist doing a 6-minute video that directly addresses the Consumer Fraud Protection Bureau's new directive, which says that if you post a 3-day notice or attempt to collect money from any of your tenants, you must post a piece that says, because of the global COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for temporary protection from eviction under federal law. Learn the steps that you should take now, and it has a website and an 800 number. This was something that Harry was very adamant that we all must do, and we've heard all kinds of stuff about we don't have to do it, we're not debt collectors, we're not really collecting money. He said anything that's a 3-day notice or any other type of notice that involves money, you must include this statement along with it. And that's the end of my PSA. Thank you. Oh, by the way, we do have a telephone number. It's 407-246. Jay, you're making me laugh. 7118.
All right, fair enough. I'm chuckling too. Thankfully, I was on mute.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
No, I appreciate you bringing
by
that
the
up.
way,
Yeah.
I really miss getting up on stage doing a 30-second pitch. Thank you for having us tonight, guys.
Absolutely. No, we appreciate everybody being here for sure. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. And next up, Elliot Grimes.
Hey everyone, my name is Elliot. I'm the hands-on operator and director of VE Builders. Like a lot of people in the room, I'm also an investor, have a couple different, kind of edges to the sword. But our main day-to-day is that we actually turnkey flips. So what that means is people that are too busy or have too many flips or whatever the case may be, we are actual boots on the ground. We have employees and we're actually out there doing them. I just figured out before the meeting that at this point I've done 10 full large-scale flips for CFRI members, none of which are in the room today, but 10 of them. Some of them have been funded by people in the room. We work at Orange and Seminole County. Like I said, we're full service. We're a general contractor. We pull permits when needed. The deal of the month, it's a good example of how having a general contractor in your corner is a good way to start a project. I definitely get calls from people that are 3 weeks in and realize that maybe they're in a little over their head and not because they don't know what they're doing, just because there's going to be some extra steps that they're not ready to take or that they've never taken before. So that's where we come in. My phone number is 407-440-8529. Of course, I'll put that on the sidebar. And we also rent dumpsters just because, I didn't have enough things going on. I decided, let's just keep going here. So the dumpsters are a good way for us to make our jobs move faster and make everybody else's jobs go smoother as well.
Yep. Definitely like that demolition part and throwing stuff in the dumpster. Can't beat that.
It keeps your workers from leaving the site. When people figure that out, they realize the value.
For sure. All right. Next up, Mr. Charles Castellan.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the invitation and happy Cinco de Mayo. Charles Castellan, a partner at the law firm of Widerman Malek. I'm also an investor and I've been a CFRI member since before the last crash, and I expect to be around after the next one or next correction. Widerman Malek is a full service firm. We have over 20 attorneys in our offices in Melbourne and Celebration where I work. And my focus and wheelhouse is all kinds of real estate matters, including litigation, transactions, title closings, land trusts, transactional engineering, and wills, trusts, and estates. And a big part of my practice and my passion is something you don't hear a lot of attorneys or educators talk about, which is playing defense. I mean, wealth preservation, asset protection, because when we do business or just live our lives as consumers or investors, we have to account for all the what ifs in life. And that's why I want to be one step ahead and help our clients avoid trouble and preempt them rather than solve problems. This is, as Stephen Covey would talk about, always important but never urgent until it is. And I would like to talk with anyone about making sure all our defenses are airtight. Widerman Malek, and I will put our contact info in the chat box.
Fantastic. Thank you, Charles. And let's see, we're going to circle back around and Travella, see if maybe we can hear from you.
Can you hear me, Jay?
You sound great.
Okay, yeah, we had to switch devices there. In any event, good evening, everyone. Travella Eli Russ with Alpha Construct 2, and we're licensed residential builders and commercial builders. We service not only Orlando, but do work in Tampa and also in the Miami area for approximately 17 years. We got two areas that we specialize in. One is the residential remodeling, where we try to do a 60-day turnaround. We have like 40 different subcontractors. I was a craftsman, carpenter, mason myself. We try to do a 60-day turnaround as long as there's minimal permits. The next area that we specialize in is in new construction. We have our own models for sale and also for rentals. And outside of permitting and plans, we can get a house turnkey in about 7 months, brand new. Since we are investors, I'm an investor also, I understand sometimes investors you got to be cost effective. You want to make $1. So we have special discounted rates for new houses and the flips for CFRI members and in real estate investors. So sometimes when you get in the jam or whatever, we got to do construction management or whatever to help you out of it. We're willing to do that also. My phone number, 407-722-6136. And I will also put my contact information on screen. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. All right, I think we have made it through. Buffy, do you see anyone that I may have missed or anybody else that joined?
I don't see anyone. I think
All right.
we got everyone. Awesome.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's get to some questions. I know everybody's ready for that for sure. So let's see here. Yeah. Go
I want to
ahead.
do a reminder real quick. If you have questions for our business members, you heard about them. You heard what their expertise is. Please put them in the Q&A, and then Jay will be reading them out and giving the appropriate business member the opportunity to answer it. So we are encouraging you to put your questions in Q&A.
Fantastic. Okay, good deal. Thank you, Buffy. All right, we're going to start up here at sort of the top of the list. Again, we'll try to go through these as feasibly as we can and make sure we spread the wealth and hear from everybody and get a little bit of information from each of you. This one is probably going to be a little bit more maybe for David and Fern to start with, because it seems to be a little bit more mortgage related. So we'll start with the two of them, and then we'll see who else might want to chime in. But the first question says, I just BIRD a property. Now, if you're not familiar with that term, because I know we probably have some folks on there maybe not familiar with every acronym, but that's the old buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So that, you know, I've just BIRD a property, and it says I'm ready to refinance. However, I can't get a refinance because I have a bankruptcy in my credit and I've got about 40% equity. Any idea what I could do so I could get off of, and he's written in here HML, which I'm assuming is hard money loan or hard money lender. And David, we'll start with you first, and then we'll go to Fern.
Sure. I have two investors that'll do what we call a debt service coverage loan, which basically is just the loan based on the net income of the property. And if it's a Chapter 13 that's been discharged, I've got two lenders that'll do it 12 months after that discharge. Anything else, it's 36 months. So that's some options I could offer. Thank you.
All right, Fern.
So to keep it short and give other people time, I'm going to say maybe. I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver. So call me and we'll talk and see if it's a fit or not. And if I can't, I'll see if I can help direct you to someone who can.
Okay, good. Anybody, before we move on, is there anybody else that has anything they want to add to that or contribute?
Yes, my son does hard money lending, and we basically qualify the property. We don't qualify the individual. So bankruptcy may or may not be an issue. He does, because he uses hedge fund money. We also have family money. We also have client money, and they don't give a damn about whether you've had bankruptcy or not. So hedge fund money may be a problem, but we may be able to help him.
All right, thank you, Roland. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Yeah, I would add something too, that there's a lot of private lenders out there that are going to look at the asset. They're going to look at the loan to value. You said you've got about 40% equity. So a 60% loan to value shouldn't be too frightening. And I would look potentially towards IRA investors that might be looking for a 3 to 5 year horizon, and you might be able to improve your rate. If I was in your situation, that's exactly what I would do, because I would venture to guess you might be able to find money somewhere in definitely south of 10%, maybe 8%. And you may be able to lock it in for a period of years, because a lot of IRA lenders are actually looking for longer term opportunities, because let's say they get 12% regularly, but they only lend their money 6 months out of the year. Well, their annual rate of return is only 6%. So if they can lock something up for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that might work in your favor. So I would offer that up as something else to take a look at. At Commonwealth, we put a lot of those kinds of things together for people.
All right, good deal. Thank you, Augie. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that? Okay. So let's see, for our next question, Foster, I think I'll start with you, and we'll see who else might want to chime in. But the question is, who are, and I'm going to assume maybe where are the motivated sellers these days? You're on mute, Foster.
That'll help. That's the $1 million question we're all kind of looking for. It's proverbial. We've been doing that forever, but you know, as I said before in my intro, there's a never-ending supply of probate leads. And they have a different motivation, usually probate leads or probate estates, because they're not trying to move up. They're not trying to sell to move to another house. They're not typically investors looking for a property. Most of the time they have an inherited property, and the properties that are for us are different than they could list them. Many probates, I would say 3/4 of the probates that you can get or that come through are listings because they're nice houses, people living in them. This market's a little dated, but there's 1/4 of them that are maintenance deferred. There are problems with the house and there's problems with the people. People don't want it. 3 siblings is always a great place to look for. Fighting, they don't want the house, nobody wants to pay the taxes. This time of year, always good to ask who's paying the taxes right now, because that kind of rings a bell and they're like, ooh, we forgot about them. So, you know, probates is always good. I would say landlords and evictions, because they're a very high frustration level, but as we know right now, evictions are not. So there's a lot of different places to traditionally look, but it's a hard market right now. We all talk about 2,000, there's what, 3,000 houses and 14,000 realtors. It's a lot of people not getting paychecks unless you're really drilling down, working hard to find it. So that's my answer. I like probates.
All right, that's a good answer. Who else wants to chime in on that one? Arkoma, we'll go with you, and then Jonathan will follow you, and then Rob. Arkoma?
So obviously I love tax deeds. You know, I'm, you know, an acolyte of Sandra. And so I love tax deeds. I love land flipping from, you know, tax deed properties. And then of course I love, you know, doing subject to. So I look a lot on the MLS for expireds and withdrawals, and then pitch them an offer that's, you know, usually a creative financing offer, probably subject to, probably seller financing, maybe even a mix of both. Pop that back on the MLS and do a, you know, do a wrap mortgage of that. So there's a lot of opportunity right there. I just did one literally last week, and it was back on the market and back in contract in 4 days. And so that's where I'm seeing a good bit that I'm personally doing. And obviously from the title side, there's a whole lot of, you know, shenanigans going on with people not, you know, paying their HOA dues. So secondary liens, and then getting those lists and being able to reach out to people that, you know, they're showing a sign of distress, but most of the investors are not seeing that distress because they're looking for very obvious things, you know, like tax delinquency, foreclosure, things that you can easily find on the tax record. And so, you know, finding those HOA liens, even if they're a secondary, gives you a sign of distress. So looking there, and then of course, you know, all of the, you know, wonderful things like, you know, Foster teaches, which is, you know, driving for dollars, you know, and so, you know, going around and seeing a house that has some signs of distress. I personally use Been Verified, and I skip trace them right there on the stoop, and call them, call their relatives, and do all that kind of stuff, and get some deals that way. There's, you know, about 45 different ways to get leads as an investor. At least that tickles your brain to get a few of them going. And so that's my expertise is in lead generation.
Outstanding. All right, great ideas there. Jonathan, I think I saw your hand next.
Yes, thank you, Jay. My response would be, you know, depending on kind of what, you know, what the person's end game is, what they're trying to do. So if you're an investor yourself and you're trying to find a property and buy it and fix it up and sell it, then kind of what we've talked about, make the phone calls, send out the postcards, purchase these other lists. And it really does, it takes time, it takes money, and it takes work to go about that. If you're looking for something also and you don't have the money or you don't have the time to put into it, then interview some good realtors that are, from CFRI that understand how to find good properties, are connected with other wholesalers that understand what goes into the improvements, what's happening in the market, and let them work on, your behalf. But I think it just kind of depends on the approach. There's a lot of different ways to do it. There's definitely sellers out there, and there's definitely profits that can be made.
All right. Thank you so much. Rob, I think I saw your hand.
Well, I would say, and just to add on to what Foster and Jonathan Arcoma said, is additionally, it's if you can, there is a lot of what it just seems almost I get overwhelmed sometimes with people. I get phone calls from investors trying to buy my properties. I get tons of mail, text messages. Everybody's trying to do it, get a hold of me to buy, and there are a lot of they're just contacting landlords and things, or just property owners trying to find it, and there's a whole bunch of these big, I don't know if they're hedge funds or whatever you can call it, these open door offer pad, these we'll give you a guaranteed cash offer. I see them all over TV, radio, et cetera, they're competing directly with our membership. And but typically those outfits and those, they don't want the harder to deal with properties. The properties are a little more complicated, like Foster mentioned the probate deals. I think Arcoma mentioned the tax properties. But the properties they're a little bit more complicated, a little more. If you can get working on properties like that they're just going to be harder for these bigger outfits to close, because those guys want to close on properties quickly. They don't want something that might take a while to deal with, a fire damage property or something that it's a probate but it hasn't even been completed yet, and it's it may take a couple of months to get done. So if you can get things like properties like that those are where the motivated ones that you're going to get that other people are not going to, the ones that are advertising all over television, or they're sending you 3 text messages a week, those guys aren't going to want to fool with those type of properties and those type of sellers.
That makes sense. Definitely. Anybody else want to chime in on that one? Fern, yeah.
Here's what I think is the elephant in the room. I think the answer lies in the question. When you buy a list, somebody else is buying the same list. You're not the only one that knows about that property. I get contacted off of lists for properties I sold a year ago. So check out your list sources really good, because sometimes that's not everything it's purported to be. At least one person mentioned driving for dollars. And I have to tell you, from where I sit doing mortgages, those are the best deals I see my clients finding now. The best deals are the ones that no one knows about except you. That drive a different way to the grocery store, drive a different way to the post office or the bank. Watch the yard where the lawn's too high. Look for postings in the window for evictions or foreclosures and jump on those deals. Those are the ones I see people bringing me where there's some money to be made.
Yep, great points, Fern. Thank you. And I see Michael has his hand up, but we also did not get a chance to hear from him in our 60-second introduction. So Michael, I know you're muted right now, but if you unmute, why don't you do a quick introduction and tell everybody who you are?
Well, I'm going to start by apologizing. I was supposed to be a panelist tonight, and I apologize for my late arrival. Unfortunately, I have a client who has a very bad asbestos contamination issue in a property. Yeah, it is fatal stuff, and it's very hard to recognize that I'm working on a claim that I don't expect my client to live to see the resolution of. I'm fighting for benefits for their family, And so it was a very busy day surrounding that claim, and it threw my entire schedule off. And I hope everybody understands that I'm sorry for being so late to the meeting tonight. I'm Michael Clavin. I'm the owner of Adjusterman Public Adjusters. We settle large loss insurance claims. We're consumer advocates that work for our clients. And I don't think I'm kidding. Wait, where's my background? Turn the background off. None. You can see I'm in the car even. I haven't even gotten out of the car for today. We settle large loss insurance claims. A lot has happened just recently through the legislature in this bill that has passed through, and how it will change your insurance coverages and how it will affect how attorneys are paid in terms of filing suits after claims when carriers haven't paid the claim. It's going to make it a bit more challenging for attorneys. And it also is going to take out assignment of benefit contractors at this point entirely now, so that roofers, general contractors are not soliciting for roof claims and then otherwise acting as unlicensed public adjusters in pursuing insurance carriers for recoveries for consumers. So that's really been the focus of my day, is getting up to speed on all of that. And this is what we do. We are consumer advocates representing people to their insurance carriers. We only represent policyholders, property owners to the insurance carrier. We don't ever work for an insurance carrier. And we're consumer advocates. Our fiduciary duty is to recover, to achieve the best possible recovery for our clients after a loss. So that's the day. And so we're here today to talk about those things and other things. But I want to go back to what we were talking about just a second ago, and echo what the lady that just said. Get out of your comfort zone. Go find a different neighborhood 50, 20, 80 miles away. Go meet some new people. It's why I joined CFRI. It's exactly why I joined CFRI, to broaden my marketplace and broaden the number of people I know throughout the state. Great suggestion. Absolutely.
Yeah, good points. Very, very good points. Anybody else want to chime in on a question before we move on to the next one? Nothing there. All right. Kind of continuing the thought process behind the adjusters for a moment. And David, I'm going to go to you for this one, and then we'll come back and get Michael's input on it as well. You know, how do you know when you need an adjuster? And kind of as a tail on to that, how are they paid? I mean, how does that work?
So it's always good to have a public adjuster representing you in any claim. We can jump in at any point in the process. Either we can file the claim for the homeowner, property owner. We can jump in after they've filed the claim. We can jump in even later if they haven't received enough money to file supplementals. That's one of the things with the statute that's changed as well. They're only allowing, one of the new things that they came out with as well is that you only have 2 years now from the date of loss to make your claim. It used to be 3 years for a hurricane, named storm, and 5 years for a regular peril. They changed it for everything now is 2. You can make up a file supplemental up to 3 years after that original claim. So that's another statute that's changed as well. So it's always good to get us involved. We can get in at any point, but the beginning is the best. If I can be on that loss with that insurance adjuster, I have a much better chance of maximizing the claim for the property owner. We are paid on a percentage of what we earn, less deductible. The maximum per statute is 20%, and that's any money less deductible that we receive. If we come into the claim late, we don't get any money based on what they've already recovered. It's only new money that we recover when we're hired and come onto the claim for the insured. So,
okay. Great, that's very helpful. And Michael, just to give you one more chance to talk about the adjuster piece there and finish up that question. Anything else you want to add to what David said there? Unmute.
There we go. One, what he said, and two, the only caveat there. Great job explaining things. The only caveat there being that rates are set by the state, 20% for common everyday losses like fires and broken pipes and vehicle impacts. Rates are capped at 10% of what we collect for you above the deductible for declared states of emergency. Those are things like hurricanes or a declared state of emergency is declared by state or local authorities. Yeah, and it's the state mandates how public adjusters are paid all the way across. So we don't get paid unless we recover for you. There shouldn't be any out-of-pocket expenses for you for the public adjuster. But when hiring an expert such as an engineer or an architect, you are responsible for those costs yourself as the client. You know, there are a few other, I'm sure, arcane fine points, but those are the real immediate big hunks of information. And when should you hire a public adjuster? Anytime you look at that loss and think to yourself, that's going to be more than I want to pay to fix. I generally say that you should be calling a public adjuster anytime that you think you're over, you know, probably about $4,000 in damage for an everyday loss. Most people's deductible is about $2,500. And for a hurricane loss, you should be dialing your public adjuster immediately, really immediately, to get your public adjuster out there as quickly as possible to evidence the damage and make sure that you capture the damage in its most immediate, most direct state, and don't clean up. The other great piece of advice I would give people after a hurricane or after a loss, I know it's everybody's desire to get things back to normal as quickly as possible. Don't clean up. Stop the damage from happening, but don't clean up. Why? Because you're destroying the evidence that you need to prove that loss to the insurance carrier. Once that stuff's gone and cleaned up, I can't necessarily prove where that damage is and prove to the carrier why they need to replace this stuff.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It really does. You know, it's in our nature often to want to clean up, but yeah, great advice there for sure.
Everybody goes out and cleans up the shingles off their shingle roof after a hurricane that are all over their lawn, but we need those shingles to show that there was debris flying around and impacting your roof and your property, and that some of those shingles are missing from your roof.
Yep.
Right? Where they're on the lawn, the shingles.
That's right.
So yeah, don't go out, don't clean up, you know, take pictures and call your public adjuster immediately.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Switching gears here a little bit. We're going to, this is a question for the attorneys in the group. So Roland and Curtis and Charles, and maybe anybody after that, but that's kind of the order we'll go through here. So the question is, what's the most common title problem at closing that could be easily corrected? So Roland, we'll start with you.
Okay, the most common title problem that can be easily corrected is where someone has, well, something that can be solved with an affidavit. For example, what happens so often, we have common names. So you may have 3 or 4 judgments against a person and they're not you. A person with a similar name may have a different middle initial, may have different social security numbers. So what we can do is we can contact normally the seller that has these judgments against them and say, are these yours? And if they say they aren't, then we have them sign an affidavit to get rid of that issue. But this is typical, it's common, it comes up in many, many closings because we have people with common names. So it comes up a lot, it's an easy fix. There are other issues that are equally quick to fix, but that is probably the most common.
All right, great. Thank you, Roland. Curtis, what would you say to that?
I agree that those small fixes are definitely one of the most common and easy fixes, an affidavit for name changes stuff. The other ones might be important to look at is incorrect legal description. You'd be amazed how many cases I have where we get it for foreclosure, look back, and they've had a legal description from 4 deeds ago, and they never They never cured any of that and never took the time to reform any of that. And those are generally really easy to do. The other one that I've seen a lot, I don't know why, is clouds on title that are not cured. I don't know if it's just bad title searches, but being very diligent about your title review and also the exceptions to your title insurance are very important. I've found, I had a person call me yesterday, super upset because they were never made aware of a easement on their title that allowed the spectrum to go into their yard all the way up to the house and do work all the way up against the house. And even when they found out, they thought, oh, it's a small thing. They're there 6 guys every day for months on end, supposedly, just making them unable to live in the house. So very important that you know your title policy, your title search is done correctly, and also that you know your exceptions and easements at closing.
All right, great. Thank you, Curtis. Charles, how about you?
What I see a lot is open permit issues. Could be work that was done, permit pulled many years ago, and will typically come up in a municipal lien search, which is a reminder of how important it is to get a lien search in addition to the title search, because there's some matters that you'll find in the lien search that may not come up in the title commitment.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else want to comment on that one? Marlene, I don't know if there's anything maybe you wanted to add from your perspective with the legal services that might contribute there. Oh, and okay. All right, Arcoma, I saw your hand. Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Marlene. I'll come back to you.
Marlene's up.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Marlene.
First of all, I'm not an attorney. So I don't have anything to add there. I'll say that. So I would just ask questions and call and get legal help. So I just want to say that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. All right, that's awesome. Thank you, Marlene.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
Well, I help a lot of people with that because I'm a licensed contractor. And there's a lot of times maybe they have done work on the property without a permit. Sometimes they didn't know they needed a permit because you come from another state, doesn't require anywhere near the amount of permits that you need here. I mean, seems like you need a permit to cook dinner. It's getting crazy around here. But a lot of times that's what happens. Sometimes they just plan on doing it without a permit, hope they don't get caught. Then they do get caught, or the next owner gets caught, things like that. Or maybe 2 or 3 owners ago, they did something. And basically what they have to do is, I got an engineer. Let's say they took a screen-in porch and made it living space with an air conditioning. Okay, that's one of the most common things that I see. That and making like a carport or a garage into a bedroom, or a bedroom and a bath. Those are the most common things. And I just have to permit them. And the way I permit them is get it drawn up, get an engineer to draw them up. I take it in, get the permit, and then get a final inspection, then everything's okay. There is a way out, but it's not, because you got to pay for a lot of people, but it's either that or you can't sell a house. So I just want to let you know that, my services are available if somebody does get stuck in that position.
All right, I saw 3 hands up. I'm going to go to Arcoma next, and then we'll go to Charles and then Roland.
I know that liens, judgments, and title issues don't sound very awesome to you guys, but I get super excited about it, obviously. As an investor, I look at it as an opportunity for me to renegotiate. I look at it for an opportunity for me to solve a problem that they can't solve, and I get a little chunk of their equity. And so we see a lot of obviously liens and judgments and child support and all that kind of stuff come through. But what makes me the most excited is, of course, zombie mortgages. So when there's been an assignment of mortgage problem where, say, Bank of America or somebody has sold the mortgage to another servicer, and that $8 an hour employee, maybe it's 15 now, but I'm old, didn't do the assignment of mortgage. So didn't assign that mortgage to Wells Fargo or whoever. And so then who owns it? Bank of America doesn't claim it anymore. They got money from whoever. And then Wells Fargo is going, it's mine, but I don't have proof of it. So that's when I get super excited. Obviously, we close those most of the time in a land trust. And then obviously we continue on with the process. Most of the time that ends up in a situation where we have to negotiate a lien release. So say, for example, $130,000 lien will get released for $10,000 or $12,000 because they have no right to it in the first place because they didn't do that one piece of paper, because that employee didn't do what they were supposed to do. Probably it was their day off, their vacation, or they were leaving the company anyhow. And so we love those, and we get super excited when we see problems that we know are going to end up with a huge chunk of equity going to the investor who's solving that problem. Or technically we're solving the problem with them.
All right. Charles, let's go to you next.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Oh, me, Charles, or the Charles?
You, Charles, sorry.
Okay.
I should be more specific. My bad.
You got the Charles going on.
I do.
For
My
some
bad.
reason, I don't have the reaction button on my phone, so I can't raise my hand. I got to raise my hand,
That's
almost
quite
like
all right. That
virtual
makes it
reality
real
or
easy for
something,
me to
but
see, by the way.
Yeah, just wave, right? Obviously, I'm not an attorney either, but in the years I've been doing this, I think one thing I think is very important is the first thing I do when I've got that executed contract is I'm getting a copy of it electronically to my title agent right away. Typically the same day I get it, because I want to give them as much time as I can to pull title and get me that commitment back. And sometimes I'll even have them go in and run like a pencil search to see if there's any, glaring problems that I need to address ahead of time. But, if you sit on that contract for a few days, even it shortens the amount of time that you've got to fix problems. So, my suggestion is get that contract, get it to your title agent right away with your earnest money deposit so that you got the binder, you show that you're ready to rock and roll, and you can get to any issues that you might have sooner than later.
Good input. Thank you, Charles. Roland, I believe I saw your hand up as well.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on the other Charles, who's the attorney on the panel, who I know very well. I'm glad he's here. What he said was he found a very common thing was open permits or unpermitted work. I wrote an article for CFRI talking about the importance of municipal lien searches. If you don't do a municipal lien search, what folks don't understand is that there is an exception on every title policy for unpermitted work, open permits, code enforcement liens, all of those kinds of things that will be picked up in a municipal lien search. That exception to the title policy can be removed if you do a municipal lien search. It's vital if you really want a very effective and good title insurance.
Good deal. Arkoma?
To piggyback on what he just said, I didn't know this for obviously 17 years, and I didn't know this until like last week. So I get really excited when I learn something that's blockbuster and awesome. And so one of the things that Joe sent out to me was about municipal liens. And obviously I bought a house, in Titusville last year. It had $8,000 worth of water liens from a squatter. And so what he said is if the water company doesn't have a contract with the owner to pay any water bills that might be incurred by other people like tenants or squatters, then they cannot lien the property. And that's per state statute. And I was like, bing, bang, bing, bang, bing, $8,000 that literally I can get scraped off that title because of the fact that he just educated me about this. And so if it's not the water that was from the owner, obviously they live in Georgia, they don't even live in Florida, they're not using water here, then that lien it can be attached there, but it can be scraped off without paying it. So keep that in mind as well. That was a nugget that, Joe was always giving me nuggets, but that's one of the big ones. So
excellent. No, that's good input. Definitely. All right. We're going to change gears here to our general contractors. And I believe that's going to be Anthony and Travellis and Elliot. We'll kind of go in that order. So the question is, do I have to pull a permit when I do a renovation? And Anthony, we'll start with you.
Well, I like Mark's analogy about pulling a permit to cook dinner because that's pretty apt and kind of true in Florida. He's right. There's a lot of licenses and a lot of, paperwork and hoops to jump through. And certainly for a renovation, you have to have, number one, architectural drawings. And, you know, unless it's like, there's no structural implications to the building, you need to have an engineer attached to that drawing. So yeah, short answer, depending on what the renovation consists of, is absolutely you need a permit, but that's a pretty open-ended question.
Yeah, I could certainly see how that could be. All right, Travelis, what's your input on that?
Yeah, in Florida, based on the hurricanes, you almost need a permit for everything except the kitchen sink. However, I know a lot of investors don't like to go that route. There is ways like window and door permits and repair permits. You can get those pretty easily and rather quickly. And as long as you're doing cabinets and cabinets and flooring and stuff and painting, you can run right on through it. But you do need to get some kind of permit, because if you get a call from neighbors or the building department right by, they're going to shut it down and get in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, anybody that missed our deal of the month, I believe it was last month, might want to go back and see that, because one of those deals might have been the month before last, but the one where Peter was presenting talked about how he ran into that exact problem for sure. Elliot, how about you?
I mean, we're definitely agreeing with Anthony there. Everything is seeing more and more permitting. The municipalities are punishing a few for, or punishing many for the few. We are seeing in City of Orlando right now, if you install a new faucet in a remodel, you're supposed to have a plumbing permit. That's not I'm not exaggerating that at all. I was told that by my inspector. He laughed. He said, I know nobody does it, but we're getting there. So I pulled a permit for some work I was doing, and they made me pull a plumbing permit, even though all I did is disconnect the sink and reconnect the sink. So if you're changing airspace, adding airspace, changing doors and windows, exterior siding, roofing, plumbing, electrical, big list, get a permit. Your contractor should know what municipalities require what, because they're all different. City of Castleberry and Seminole County and Orange County and City of Orlando all have some different parameters and spaces. And following up to that, all the way around, is you can get sued years later for not pulling a permit. So if you sell someone a flip, the closing table's not the last time that you may ever encounter that person. If you take out all your walls and the ceiling's cracking and all that kind of stuff, the attorneys in the room will probably agree that years later you can face legal action on that kind of stuff. And if you don't have a permit, you look pretty guilty.
You know, I'm laughing only a little bit there, only because of one of the times that I had a chance to sit in front of one of the county commission meetings and literally sat and listened to some guy basically say, well, my dog ate my homework, which was ridiculous. Like you said, you need the permit. It's there for a reason. So.
Kind of imagine a state trooper walking up to your window and asking questions. I mean, it's bad. And I will tell you, piggybacking on what Travelis said, is if you get caught, you're in worse trouble. They're going to really run you through the ringer, versus if you've made a good attempt and maybe missed a step, they're going to be a lot lighter on you.
Great point.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead, Travelis.
Jay, let me ask something. There was a CFRI member in a gated community in Sanford, put in a window and a door without a permit. The fines went up to $50,000. We got a call, we straightened it out for her. And I was like, how did they find this out? She was like, well, my ex-husband called in on me. But yeah, just for a window and a door, $50,000. I think they reduced it to like $5,000, but hey, that's a lot.
You never know who's going to call it in. So that's a good point. All right. We have not heard anything from Cindy yet. So Cindy, I have a question for you. How long does it take to close a property after I get it under contract?
I like to say an average is about 3 weeks, but we can close it a lot faster, but it's all dependent on how quickly we get back the title search or the lien search. The lien searches are taking a little longer, and it's all dependent on the county that we have to reach out to. We had a couple of closings in Dixie County. I'm sorry, Dixie County, I'm sure you're great, but we can't even e-record there. We have to send it out by FedEx, which is pretty archaic. We haven't had to send anything out like that in at least 6 years. I've closed some in a week, but those are really clean, easy deals. Average is pretty much around 3 weeks.
And that does make sense for sure.
Yeah, and we'll always push it to get it done faster if we can. If it comes back and it looks pretty quick and it's just paperwork, we'll push it through.
Okay. Good deal. We got a couple more people. I want to make sure we try and at least hear from everybody at least once. So moving around the room here a bit. Richard, I've got a question for you. Let's see here. How would you go about removing a tenant not on a lease, not paying rent, not accepting cash for keys, and has no income? So he's hit the trifecta and then some.
Go to the house. You hear me?
Travellis, can you go on mute? Yeah, thanks. Go ahead. Yeah.
I would go to the house, remove the front door, and tell them we need to take it to the shop for repair. No, I wouldn't do that. But I know guys who have done that.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay, so, you know, here's the issue is if a tenant doesn't move out and he's not paying rent and he won't do cash for keys, which is always my best strategy, you just have to go to legal route and hire a lawyer, Jeff Wilkins or our friend Harry Heist. You know, that's their specialty and they do them for cheap. You know, or any of the attorneys that are here, Roland and anybody else who does evictions, and you have to go through the legal process and evict them that way. And a lot of times what we have found is, like I said, in 10 years, we've done one eviction, but we've gotten to the point where we posted the front door, and once they saw the legal paperwork, they scooted. So, you know, people respond to legal paperwork. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to go to court. We just sued one of our ex-tenants last week, got a $20,000 judgment from on her, and she didn't show up. You know, so, you know, don't want to deal with court. Put their head in the sand. So, you know, there's ways and ways to do it. The cash for keys is obviously for anybody, you know, that's out there to avoid eviction. That's always worked the best. In the bit, as long as I've been in the business with foreclosures, moving out people who are squatting properties and that kind of stuff, almost always works.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Appreciate that input. Quick question, Augie, for you, since we've got you under our land trust. Real quickly, why is it that somebody should really be considering a land trust when they are investing? What's the key important factor there?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, Jay. One is if you're flipping properties, you know, somebody just brought it up, you know, if you did something without a permit, you didn't even know you needed the permit, and 5 years down the road, there's an issue. Well, if you bought it in a land trust, there's no record of you having done anything on that property. The other issue that does come up, one of the reasons I like land trusts is the fact that you don't realize how many deals you're going to do in your career. You might figure out, but I'm going to do some rehabs. And you'll say, well, I'm never going to have a problem. But it only takes 40 individuals to create a class, a legal class. So let's say you're in business for 15 years. And over the 15 years, you start out doing 1 or 2, but you end up, you know, building a business and you're doing 5, 10 a year. You get 75 properties, rehabs under your belt. Somebody may have a problem. Heaven forbid some kid gets really sick because somebody missed black mold, or God forbid, whatever it happens to be. Do you want your name splattered on the front page? Jay Spann sells house that kills child. Okay, I mean, Is that what we see in the press these days? That's how headlines are written, whether it's true or false, doesn't matter, your room. Okay, so that's one. The other, and then so for flipping, because people say, hey, we're gonna have the house for 6 months, why would I want a land trust? Well, if you're only gonna do one deal in your entire investing career, don't get a land trust, roll the dice. But if you're gonna run a business, you wanna run it as safely as possible. Second reason I want to use a land trust is the way we structure deals with land trusts. I can also keep the purchase price private. If I can keep the purchase price private, I don't ruin my comps. That's reason number two. So that's just on the buy and buy, fix, and sell side. On the buy and hold side, one of the best days of my life was when my tenants met me as the property manager and never knew I was the property owner. And so again, as a buy and hold investor, if they know me as the property manager, hey, I'm a working stiff. I get paid like everybody else. And as long as you pay the rent, that rotten, nasty, mean old trustee won't fire my butt, and I can feed my family. And so again, it allows me to deal from a different perspective. Last but not least, when negotiating the sale of a property, having it in trust, now as the property manager, we give you, a property management agreement that gives you tremendous latitude because you're the beneficiary of the trust, you own it. But it puts you in a different negotiating position because you are not the party of last resort. You make the decision, but the world doesn't know that. And you can say, well, look, if you don't want to accept that term, I'll go to the trustee, but they got 2 or 3 other people ready to line up and buy. So if your buyer is serious, I'll go rattle the cage if you want me to, but you better make sure because they could lose the deal. And I actually did that, with one of my own properties not long ago. And the realtor said, they called me back literally in 5 minutes and said, don't rattle the trustee's cage. Now, for me to rattle the trustee's cage, I would have gone in the restroom, I would have looked in the mirror and said, hey, what do you think? And I'm talking to myself. So whether you're a buy and hold investor or whether you are a buy, fix, and sell investor, a land trust is just a great way to protect yourself. It's not total asset protection, but the privacy piece is critical. And we can show you how to work that into an asset protection plan that kind of gives you a belt and suspenders that will protect you. And we also use them with private lenders. They also use land trusts, again, to maintain privacy and also give them an easier way to get the property back in the event of default.
Awesome. Thank you, Augie. I appreciate that.
Jay?
Yes.
Can I add something? It's Marlene.
Absolutely, Marlene.
Okay, so to back up what Augie said, I bought my first property back in 1999 and in early 20s. Now I'm in my early 50s. So a lot of years have gone by. And in my early days, I didn't know anything about land trusts. So it really sucks to go back in the chain of title and see my name everywhere because I did 1031 exchanges and stuff as I evolved and learned more. In the later years, when I learned about land trusts, it's nice to have stuff tucked away and nobody knows. But it really sucks because right now everything is online. So someone can just search your name and boom, there's your name out there. So if you're starting out now, it's wise to just keep it on the wraps and celebrate your successes some other way. But once your name is out there, it's out there and you can't do anything about it.
Good point. And I know we've got some hands up there, but folks, we're going to have to make sure we get to at least hear from everybody once, and we're running real short on time. So my next question is going to be for Ben, and it is, how do you put together an offer a seller can't refuse?
That's a fantastic question in this market. Right now on the residential side for transactions, any listing that's move-in ready without a tenant is receiving anywhere from 5 to more offers, anywhere up to 20 or 40 offers, depending on the price point of the listing, as long as the properties move in. So what we've been doing to be creative with our buyers and making our offers stand out is some really crazy stuff if you compared it to normal times. First, the most simplest thing is obviously waiving the appraisal contingencies so that the buyer will pay above the appraised value. We do this also by doing an appraisal gap contingency that states on the offer how much the buyer is willing to go above appraised value. We also remove or reduce the inspection period. So with the as-is contract, the buyers are able to cancel the contract, or are entitled to cancel the contract during the inspection period without cause, and they're entitled to get their escrow deposit back. So as a buyer submitting an offer, we reduce that to maybe 2 days and get the inspector in there 1 day after the contract is fully executed. We pull at the heartstrings of the seller by writing a buyer's letter, which is a questionable thing depending on who you talk to. And typically we're suggesting for all our buyers to write their offers starting at $5,000 above the purchase price, going $20,000 above that with an escalation clause, putting their offer above any other offer on the table. And the newest way to stand out is actually for buyers to offer to pay sellers' closing costs, which just started maybe within the last 30 days.
Wow, we are really in a seller's market now.
Without a doubt.
Indeed,
So,
indeed. Yep.
On the
No,
flip
that's-
coin, I want to add one thing on the flip coin. If you are an investor and you are selling a property and you want to liquidate your assets, get rid of the tenant first, because if you have a tenant in place, you are limiting your buyer pool to other investors. If the tenant's out of the property and the property's in a nice area and it's a move-in ready property, you're going to have so much more competition in the open market with just, owner occupant buyers than if a tenant's in place and that an owner occupant would have to wait for that tenant to get out of their lease. So.
Good deal. Well, we are already over, but I want to make sure we hear from Michael Daniels, who has the Rentivity platform. And Michael, if you wouldn't mind answering for us, how does using a software system like that, how does it help our real estate business?
Software system like Rentivity?
Mm-hmm.
You can cut your software and administrative costs. You can ensure that the entire process is consistent. You have a digital audit trail. So like when I was with Altisource, for example, somebody would come back and run an audit on a property that we had leased or sold, a year or two ago. That employee was no longer there. They didn't update the database like they were supposed to, or they kept notes on their notepad and walked out the door. So this way it captures it all in the entire system. And the other thing we do by keeping the renter's information anonymous initially is that they go through a pre-qualification process. So let's say you have 10 people applying, bidding on a property, you use the auction style leasing, you put it in a 7-day window. Division of Real Estate comes knocking later, says, why'd you give it to this person, not that person? We dealt with that all the time at Altisource. It's easy, you just print out and say, here, everybody had 7 days. Here was the price. Here was the qualification process. It was anonymous. We didn't know if they were male, female, race, ethnicity, nothing. Everybody went through the same process, the same amount of time, had the same opportunity to rent the property. So, those are a couple ways. I was trying to mitigate risk, cut costs, create a digital audit trail, find a way to increase the value of the portfolio. Our initial test, we rented 100 properties here in Orlando, 69 of them rented at a premium. In another market that was going down, we found out there that, they didn't all hit the target, which they wouldn't have anyway, but they rented 8 days faster than the MLS because they could see, the bids they were getting, the activity was on it, and make a decision to take less.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm sure most of you realize that this is a never-ending task, and no way that we're going to get to every question. We are already 3 minutes over time as it is. So let me take this moment to thank all of you as our panelists for being here and answering questions. Everybody that submitted questions, I know there were plenty we did not get to. I apologize. We did have a ton of those that came in. You know who these business members are. Please do make use of them. Go to the website, find out who they are, get their information, make use of them. They are all experts in their field, and they are here to help you. So if you're going to attend the meeting after the meeting, some of these folks may be able to join us as well. I don't know, but hopefully they will. And you might be able to network with them a little bit more, but that will be starting here in just a minute or two. And we hope to see everybody there. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your Cinco de Mayo. Celebrate.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Get
See
the
you at
meeting after.
the meeting.
Good night. Thank you,
Okay,
Jay,
just a
and
minute.
CFRI. Have a good night.
Thanks, Buffy.
Thank you. See you at the meeting after the meeting.